better. But right now, today, I mean, UCLA could beat Baylor today. But maybe 2 months ago, you're right. Baylor, but or just talent-wise, looking at their rosters, maybe so. But I'm just telling you, I was blown away by UCLA. I was really impressed with this run. Was unbelievable.
Oh, it was incredible.
14-point spread, and we were like, that could be a little low. That was never. I mean, if you took Gonzaga minus 14, you never had a chance, right? That was a losing ticket from jump.
From the start.
Yep, you never had a chance.
Yeah,
and who would have thought that, right? If we would have said that on Friday, who would have actually thought that? Like, if you take Gonzaga minus 14, you have no chance of winning.
I mean, I didn't feel great about it based on just how UCLA has played. And like, well, hey, they're here, so you never know. I mean, the number that I felt the best about was Gonzaga. Well, two Gonzaga and their team total over, which we set it at I think 81.5. But I saw
we
it
had
as
82.5.
82.5. I saw it as low as 81.5. I saw 84. I felt good about that, and then the overall over.
But it was 81 at the end of regulation, and they had one shot, at the end to go over at regulation. So they were in the ballpark. I felt good about where we set that, and of course because it went to overtime, they easily got over it. But if the game had ended in regulation, if Juzang maybe pulls up for a 10-footer instead of tries to go in and plow over Timmy.
Hi, Roman.
Yeah, he's. I knew this was. I was like, he is dying to get up here. I don't know why.
Roman knows that we are streaming live on Twitch and Twitter and YouTube, all those things, and so he knows we're making our debut, and he
kept circling, and I was like, man, he's going to jump up here. I can just feel it. I even brushed him away a couple of times.
He's like, hey, guys, hey, everybody.
I can't do this for 4 hours. I just know he's going to be up here soon.
I've got Stanley over my right shoulder right now. You can see him in the windowsill.
His spot.
He's got his spot. Bird watching.
All right, we will come back. We've moved some things around. Mike Vrabel is going to talk at noon today, so we're going to air that live. So we've asked Vince to move earlier in the show, and we do appreciate him doing that. So he will join us on the other side. We head to Knoxville next on Darren, Daunic, and Chase, ESPN 102.5 The Game. Back here on the DDC on this Dingus Monday. ESPN 102.5 The Game. Darren McFarland, Willie Daunic, Chase McCabe with you. We now bring in Vince Ferrara from WNML there in Knoxville, the sports animal, at Vince Sports on Twitter. We were just talking about the incredible college basketball game Saturday night. It was the game we were looking for. We weren't sure we were going to get it, but indeed we did. And wow, what a game by UCLA. That's the game they had to play. And what a shot by Gonzaga to set up tonight. And Gonzaga has the opportunity to do something the team hasn't done since 1976 when Indiana did it, go the entire season undefeated and cut down the nets.
Well, good morning, guys. And it was an all-timer. There's no doubt about it. And, you know, there's so many parts of that. Gonzaga hadn't been tested all season, and they were able to answer the bell. Both teams just kept taking shots and going back and forth and responding to one another. And then, you know, obviously UCLA tying it up, and then the Suggs three-pointer, just beautiful in so many ways. The Suggs block at the rim. I mean, you can go on and on. So cool that we had the tournament, one game away from getting to the finish line, and the two best teams that we talked about all season, separating from everybody else, are the last two standing. And I think it's the kind of power versus power matchup that everybody would like to see. And now, because of the way things played out, with as dominant as Baylor looked, and Gonzaga getting taken to the limit in the Final Four and the semifinal, now I think some more people are talking themselves into Baylor perhaps winning that game, which I think only adds intrigue. I think the ratings are just going to be absolutely insane and through the roof for this championship game.
I know we talked about this last Monday, but now you had a whole week of shows and feedback from the listeners there in Knoxville. UCLA's improbable run all the way to the, Final Four, and with going toe-to-toe in what will go down as one of the more memorable games in NCAA tournament history, and what Mick Cronin was able to do. And Mick Cronin, as we know, was not their first choice. He wasn't their second or third choice. And we know Rick Barnes, the story there. What has been kind of the reaction to the thump that was the Tennessee basketball season, basically just hitting a wall and collapsing to the floor at the end? I mean, the way they ended, it was just there was no excitement whatsoever. And then watching, what Mick Cronin did at UCLA, knowing the backstory, what was the reaction all week?
Well, I don't think it was overwhelming, Darren. Not that I heard of. Maybe there was times where, calling a game or not able to listen or whatever, that maybe some calls snuck in and there was just that general conversation. But I think it's been noted. I think people that have the opinion that they're frustrated with Rick Barnes, it adds to them, but I don't know that it sways a larger amount of the fan base to say, well, look, see, UCLA was better off without Rick Barnes, and now we're worse off. I don't know that people are saying those kind of things and changing their mind. I think it's those that had the opinion, it gives them something else to talk about, and those that support Rick Barnes that were disappointed at this year's team, I don't think it really carries a ton for them. So it's interesting, it's noteworthy, but I don't think it's an overriding theme with the fan base that I've heard.
Let's talk about I'll just stick with basketball since we're on it. All right, so let's talk about the departure. So Jayden Springer has declared for the draft. He's got an agent,
Yep.
So he's gone. I don't think anybody fell out of their chair listening to that. A couple of players have entered the transfer portal. So let's just start there with the players that have departed officially.
Well, no surprise with Jayden Springer. He signed on with A3 Athletics, which is based here in Knoxville. It's actually Eric Berry's agency. And the interesting thing there is just dealt with football players in the past. So they're starting up a basketball division now as an agency. So interesting there. And you're right, it is no surprise that he was projected as a first-round pick in varying positions in the first round. We know Keon Johnson is going to go.
He's going to be a lottery pick.
Yeah. So there's not a whole lot of intrigue there, although he hasn't made it public yet.
I was going to say, why hasn't he? I guess that's where I was going. Why hasn't he just come out? I mean, everybody knows he's leaving, so why hasn't he done it yet?
Right. It could be him doing his research on the right agency, things like that. And then the guys that hit the transfer portal, really no surprise. I mean, the two of them combined, Devante Gaines and Drew Pember, combined to average less than a point a game. And they didn't really play much at all. Pember was looked at originally as a developmental guy from right here in Knoxville. And Devante Gaines just never took that next step and, just played very sparingly. So those guys, I think what you could see is them transfer to a school not too far away, maybe on the mid-major level, we'll see. But there's no surprise that those guys left, and it would not shock me whatsoever to see another one or two off the bench leave. So those are the guys that have left to this point. And, E. Pons, I think, is headed pro. I don't think there's much in question with that. And then the bigger question would be John Fulkerson. What does he decide to do?
The one other, before we talk about the additions, is a weird story at ETSU, if people haven't seen it, with their coach out and the whole kneeling situation and the boosters behind the scenes. That was bizarro. So there is an opening there. Is there a chance that Rick Barnes loses a staff member for that opening?
Yes. There's numerous outlets that reported that Desmond Oliver, who's been with Rick Barnes his entire time at Tennessee, is expected to be named ETSU's new men's basketball coach. And when we're talking about some of those transfers, it would not surprise me if those would be a couple of guys that could leave, not go too far away, and end up there. Another thing that I thought of, that if Desmond Oliver does take that job, is John Fulkerson had said before that if he plays, he's not interested in being, a transfer and going anywhere else. I wonder if now that one of his longtime assistant coaches has been there his entire career, if maybe that changes things for him, and maybe that might be a place that he might be comfortable going to. He is from that Tri-Cities area, so that's something else to kind of monitor that could change things potentially. We'll see. I don't know what their roster situation is. Imagine there's always room for transfers because people are always coming and going. But and Oliver's a fantastic coach. And I think he's been kind of waiting for the right opportunity. It's interesting that he's taking ETSU now. Maybe he feels like, hey, it's time. I've been here waiting for that next opportunity. I'm seeing other guys on the staff get those head coaching jobs like Kim English got at George Mason. Probably feels like he has to jump on it and get rolling and start that head coaching clock for him in his career. So, yeah, it obviously that would leave them with two openings at the moment if that indeed happens.
Well, that's what I was going to say. So what about Kim English leaving, taking the head coaching job at George Mason? That leaves an opening there. What is Rick Barnes doing about that spot?
Well, there have been some rumblings of the potential candidate for that job. It could be assistant Rod Clark, assistant coach at Austin Peay. And what's interesting about him is that he's a former coach of Sunrise Christian Academy in Kansas, where Kennedy Chandler, their 5-star incoming point guard freshman, has been at. So I think there might be some familiarity maybe prior to. He didn't coach him there, I don't believe. I think he had left and gone to Illinois, Chicago before going to Austin Peay. But I do think there's a connection there. And then also coached on one of those those travel squads as well that we've seen Tennessee recruit to. So he's a guy that would have recruiting ties to some of those power programs. And so obviously he's not too far away either. So we'll see if that's who ends up being the pick or if they go a different direction. But he's a guy whose name is come up quite a bit as a potential to fill Tim English's spot.
I have to believe whenever he does fill his spots with his staff and Rick Barnes and his current staff and new staff, they're going to be in there scouring the transfer portal, right? I mean, I would have to believe they're going to be very aggressive with a couple of transfers, right, this offseason?
Well, 100%. And they already landed a big one in Justin Powell from Auburn. Auburn really missed him last year. He ended up playing 10 games, then got a concussion and ended up missing the rest of the season. But he shoots a high percentage, I think 44% from three-point range last year. Averaged about 15 points and six-ish rebounds per game, good assists. So he's a pretty well-rounded player and a young player also. He's from Kentucky, so not that far away. A lot of schools were after Justin Powell, and I think that's a big get because he fills a number of needs, but maybe the biggest need is the three-point shooting, the perimeter shooting. He's a natural shooter, and they need that. So that was the first big get for them. Then there are a couple other guys that Tennessee is after that they're on the finalist short list for. One of them is Walker Merrill, Walker Kessler. Walker Merrill is a wide receiver on the balls right now. But Walker Kessler is a 7'1" forward/center from North Carolina is in the transfer portal. Tennessee is on the short list for him. And obviously that would fill a huge need in the post for Tennessee. Rick Barnes said it when they closed out the season. They have to have post play and scoring. And he's a super talent. His numbers don't overwhelm you from his season last year as a freshman, but he had some really good games, big games down the stretch in his final few. So maybe you saw him with other talent on that team start to kind of put it together later in the year, and that size would be coveted. And then also another one is Furman transfer Noah Gurley. He's talented, 6'8" forward, 15 and 6 rebounds for him. He had a 30-point game with 7 rebounds and 7 assists in his last game for Furman. And he's also got a long list of teams. Duke is after him, Alabama, Florida, Auburn, Miami. So, I mean, these top transfers that Tennessee's in the mix for, a lot of the big schools are after him. And that could really change what the roster looks like next year with Kennedy Chandler, and then obviously a whole bunch of question marks beyond that.
Vince Ferrara is with us. So, Vince, all these players that we're talking about, they're eligible next year? No sitting out?
Well, it's a great follow-up question, Willie, and not that we know of. There's Gurley, I believe, is a junior. And then obviously with Powell, it's within the SEC. So as the rules sit right now, no, he would not be eligible. But everybody expects the NCAA to officially clear that one-time transfer. But as it sits right now, the SEC also has the rule of no transfer within the league. So is the SEC going to adjust, or are they going to make a ruling, or are they just going to sit back and wait on the NCAA? So as of right now, that SEC hurdle stands as well. So no, but I do think eventually it's going to be free and open market. There's so many basketball players in the transfer pool.
And the question really is, Vince, is this how we want it? Right? Because you already see how much movement that there is. And it seems like there's a lot more than there was before. But I mean, it is a shuffle. They just had a huge turnover. It's about a third of the roster right there when you consider everything that you just went through, right? Guys turning pro, guys transferring. That's a lot of turnover for a team that's been so good.
And it's for everybody. And that's why when you're looking at some teams in college basketball, you say, oh, that's a senior-laden team. Well, are they a senior-laden team that would have grown together and developed chemistry over several years? Or are they like a Baylor who had a number of transfers and they're able to put it together with some of their own upperclassmen and talented young players also? So I think that's the mix for Baylor, is they've got the right blueprint, and you need your own experienced players and your own young talent, but you also need to go get some of those right transfers and have it all come together for you. And obviously great coaching certainly helps as well. But I debate it on whether it is right, Willie, because it's basically becoming free agency now in college basketball. And it's already kind of, it's already underhanded in recruiting as it is for high school players, much less now trying to pluck guys off of other teams' rosters when they're in school.
No question. That'll be a topic throughout the summer, I'm sure. Vince, the spring practices are going on at Knoxville. I've always thought, I think since the day that they hired Josh Heupel, that, okay, let's take for a given that they're going to score some points, the way they play, the tempo, if it's anything like it was at UCF. But the defense will be very important. So what have you learned about the defense so far?
Well, we haven't gotten clarity on what they're going to run defensively. And when we talked to Tim Banks and any of the assistants prior to, and even Josh Heupel, and asking about it, they say, well, we're going to be multiple and we're going to see what the guys can do, and then we'll adjust a plan to that. I find that I know defenses need to be multiple, and I'm all for that. However, I find it hard to believe that they don't have a base plan. You can adjust to that, but I do think that they're going to run basically a 4-2-5. And there's a couple of reasons for it. One, that's what Tim Banks has largely done at his previous stops. Two, that's what the personnel would dictate on this roster. They have very little at linebacker, very little. In fact, a couple of their most promising linebackers, without Toto and Crouch, who are in the transfer portal, a couple of those guys have been out in Banks and Roman Harrison. So they're so slim. In fact, they had a long snapper, Will Albright, working at linebacker and giving him an opportunity at a look. Very small numbers, very little in terms of playing time ever on the college level. So it's a huge, huge issue for Tennessee defensively. So to me, if you're playing to your personnel, you have a lot of defensive linemen back, no stars, but at least you have experienced players there and a larger group of them. You have some returning ability on the back end. So you load up and put an extra DB on the field, one with flexibility to be able to come in the box if you need them. And then you go 4 down, which is, I think, would fit the personnel of this team. And plus, that's really what we see in college football today anyway, because everybody's going fast paced. You're going spread. You have to have guys that are 3 down players that you don't have to situationally substitute based on what the other team is showing you formation wise. So I think that's where they're headed. It's what fits their personnel, and it's what Banks has done before. So I think that's what they're doing, even though they haven't necessarily told us they want to. They've said that they're going to be very multiple.
All right, give us the status of the suspended players that have gone on here. What's the latest with that?
Well, they're still out, and I think there's still going to be resolution on campus with the committee meeting and deciding on what to do with them. There were, I guess, charges against Salter were dismissed, but he remains out. The other players, he wasn't officially named in that situation because he's a minor, but because he was suspended and because there was one unnamed minor in that situation, that's what the assumption is. Then the other players, Martavius French, Isaac Washington, Aaron Willis, those guys remain out as well. There's also one other player that our Jimmy Himes found that has been out, and James Robinson, that was, I guess, there but wasn't charged with anything. So because of his, I guess, association, they've kind of kept him out, just as a discipline and as precaution in the meantime until that plays out. So I think we're going to get a resolution fairly soon. Josh Heupel was asked if he hopes to get it done before the end of spring, and he said to get resolution on it, and he said yes, definitely. So if those guys end up being cleared, and maybe they get some behind closed doors punishment, and they're able to come back to practice, and the charges aren't significant, you'd want to get them some reps in practice before it wraps up, rather than having to delay that all the way to the fall. But we'll see what their status is. Maybe some of those guys don't return. That's still to be determined.
We're talking to Vince Ferrara, 99.1, the sports animal up in Knoxville, joins us usually every Monday at noon, but switching around today. We appreciate him doing that. Josh Heupel, I know he's doing press conferences and talking to you all as a part of spring practices, but how much of the selling the program has he really started to do now that he's got his staff put together and spring practice has started?
Well, I wouldn't say because they're in spring practice that he's in any sort of, press campaign. He's so behind in so many areas and trying to figure out what he's got, how to adapt personnel that maybe doesn't necessarily fit all the way across and what he wants to do. He's admitted that they're behind in some ways in recruiting. They haven't really made an impact in the state yet in terms of landing, high-level players that have committed to them. That front has been quiet to this point. So he's got a lot of other things he's worried about before trying to sell the program. But I do like some little things that he has done. One of them is that he's made himself and all of his assistants, is still on a rotating basis, available to the media to be able to talk to them. Two, they've allowed some limited access because of social distancing to practices. Hasn't totally shut the door. I think if Jeremy Pruitt was the coach under still some restrictions in terms of social distancing, I don't think we'd be in practice. That's just my opinion. But I think that is a difference. The fact that there's some access, I think, is largely because of Josh Heupel. Another thing is that he has opened his doors to former Vols. You guys have probably talked to some VFLs that have been allowed to get into those practices and have access. And I think that's very smart to take that approach, because they can do a lot of the selling of the program for you when you have football business to take care of.
So do you feel like, just based on what you just said, with the little access, and I know COVID's still an issue, but that stuff is going to be, I guess, easier to navigate with him than it was in the past?
As far as us in the media chase, I do think, yes, I do think it will be better. And look, there's been a couple of times as well when he's been asked, tough questions about Caden Salter and those players suspended. And it's not like he's been an open book. I mean, they never want to talk about those kind of things, but at least he hasn't avoided it or, outright lied that anybody knows of or any of that kind of stuff. So those things are, have been positives for him. But in terms of access, yes, I think it has been looser. And I think once it comes to the fall, I think we're going to get even more access come fall when, COVID maybe is not quite the issue we hope, if it continues to trend with the vaccine and everything. I do think we're going to get even more access come fall. And we'll see. Maybe they'll go back to what we get every once in a while, I guess, under Butch Jones with some open practices. So not only we can go, but maybe some fans can go also. I know Arkansas is doing that with Sam Pittman. He said he wants to put that pressure on his players. I love that. I don't get the paranoia, especially during spring practices. Like anything we put out there is going to inform football coaches that know everything and can see everything, can find out everything out on their own. Like we're talking about one guy now second team on the depth chart when he was first, how that's going to change anything for anybody. It's just the silliest thing. But good for Arkansas for doing it. I don't know if we'll get to that point, but I think it will be more open for us in the fall.
You know what's crazy, Vince, is Predators coach John Hines, he actually acts like injured players exist. He actually will talk about them, and it's crazy. They've still been winning hockey games. It's nuts. I mean, I don't even know what to make of that. It's crazy, but he actually acts like they exist, and he will actually talk a little bit about them, and they just keep winning. Like, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe he's onto something. This is like maybe a new trend. I'm not sure. Heaven forbid.
It's such a horrendous disadvantage. I mean, to know that a player on the other team is hurt, I mean, my goodness. Like, how do you overcome that?
I know. I mean, and just the scouting you can do if you know something about that injured player, it's unbelievable. It really is. These coaches, oh boy. Anyway, that's a rabbit hole we're not going to go down. Vince, really, really appreciate it. Hope you had a great weekend. Have a great week, and we'll talk to you next Monday.
All right, guys. Have a great week. Appreciate you.
Vince Ferrara,
thanks, Vinny.
Sports Animal in Knoxville, WNML. Isn't that amazing? It's weird. The paranoia with coaches.
It's crazy. And it's not just one sport, as we all know.
No, it's all.
They're just wired that way.
I know.
And some worse than others.
Well, I don't know if they're wired that way or a lot of them just fall into the category, well, that's what everybody else has done, so I'm going to do it. And it's like, well, you don't have to do that. It's.
I think some are truly wired that way.
Oh,
they just
for sure. I didn't say all
paranoid.
though. I don't think all of them.
Yeah.
I think that all of them. I think some of them have just grown up around, or they've been around that, and so they just believe that's how it should be done.
Right.
They don't want to break free of that because that's what they've always seen. But it's kind of silly. But anyway, Willie, you're going to talk to us about Lee Company.
Glad to do it. Lee Company, of course, 615-567-1000. It was an exciting weekend for the Predators. They got back on the winning track with the shutout over Chicago. It is a huge week for the NHL, Nashville, the Central Division. 1 week to go until the trading deadline. Lee Company, a huge sponsor of our radio coverage and a big display throughout Bridgestone Arena when you come down there and watch the Predators. It's exciting right now. Lee Company has so many exciting things to offer you. It's getting warmer today. The warm months are coming. Another reminder for you, if you haven't had your air conditioning unit checked in a while, it's time to do so. 615-567-1000 is the phone number to call. If you haven't had the air conditioning unit checked in a while, why not? It'll really help you have peace of mind. You don't want it to clunker out on you in the middle of the summer. That's not a good feeling. And ask about the home maintenance plan the Lee Company offers. They always have it there for you. The annual checkups to make sure your heating unit's working properly, your air conditioning, your plumbing, your electric, the stuff that really keeps your house running. You'll pay a small monthly fee. In exchange for that, you get the annual checkups plus discounts if and when repairs need to be made. It's a great system. It works for us. We have it in the Daunic house. The home maintenance plan from Lee Company, 615-567-1000. Or you can check them out online at leecompany.com.
From working at home.
God, 17 games is so idiot. I hate the NFL.
To working on that honey-do list.
It's like you look around and go, what is happening? How does this happen?
Nashville's best sports talk is always at your fingertips. Just search The Game Nashville in your app store and download it today. And keep it locked on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
I'm Fox 17 News Code Red meteorologist Dan Guthrie. Temperatures will continue to warm for us from the 50s and 60s into the 70s this afternoon. In fact, we'll push near 80 with a chance to hit it tomorrow, and then storms back midweek.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
If you value tough, reliable equipment, you'll love Kubota. Kubota makes some of the toughest, hardworking, and dependable machines on the planet. And here at Coleman Tractor, we sell those machines, including construction equipment, tractors, mowers, utility vehicles, and hay tools. Kubota, everything you value. Come see why Coleman Tractor Company is one of the largest Kubota dealers in Middle Tennessee, with 4 locations to serve you in Paris, Clarksville, Nashville, and their new location in White House. Coleman Tractor, working hard to keep you working.
Need some cash for that home improvement project? Hey, it's Willie Daunic. Loan Pronto can make it happen with their zero-cost refi program. Now listen, Loan Pronto is now here. It's changing forever how you'll get a home loan with lower rates, no lender fees, and an all-digital, no-hassle process. You can refinance your home mortgage now and get cash out of your home's equity. People getting checks for $20,000, $30,000, $40,000. Now that's a stimulus check. Hey, rates are still super low, and Loan Pronto's all-digital platform makes it easy. They can cover your closing costs. Call now. Get cash out now to fix up that home office or remodel your kitchen or even pay off credit cards. Loan Pronto's zero-cost cash-out refi. 615-499-5780. 499-5780, area code 615, or loanpronto.com. 499-5780.
Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781. Subject to lender approval. Not available on all loans.
When I came to Genesis, I was completely shocked and surprised.
That's Tara Michelle, but like so many of her customers, she's made the switch to Genesis.
Now working at Genesis, I'm able to offer my customers more inventory, more selection, better pricing, better warranties and guarantees.
And Tara loves that now she's got access to the top designers and all the latest ring styles. Over 4,000 choices.
The picture that she's captured on Instagram, they show me that picture. I don't have just one option for them. I have plenty, and we're going to hit it out of the park every single time. I'm not only getting the customers exactly what they want style-wise, but the price is going to be unbeatable, without a doubt, hands down.
And unlike the other stores, Tara's not working on commission at Genesis, so less stress for everyone.
I'm not putting pressure on the customer to purchase because no one's putting pressure on me to sell. I have the freedom to make it a personal experience for them.
Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Robbie Stanley.
I don't think anybody feels like this train's slowing down.
Joe Rex Road.
I haven't had a crotchety old man moment, and here it is. We get into uniforms, and I will go there.
Get your morning started with Robbie and Rex Road every weekday from 6 to 10 on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN.
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app. If you've missed any of today's show, just search Darren, Daunic, and Chase on Apple, Spotify, or on your favorite podcast platform.
Make sure you're listening throughout our show today because we will reveal a keyword for you to text in. Yes, you're going to use those fingers and text in the keyword a little bit later in the program on our text line driven by Wilson County Hyundai.com. Of course, this is for the T-Mobile Hockey Home Gate giveaway, which will include a Dos Equis prize pack, a case of beer, dessert from Nothing Bundt Cakes, a T-Mobile prize pack, and food provided by 312 Pizza Company there in Germantown. Remember, you must be 21 years of age or older to enter. We've had a great response. We've been doing this now, I think, for 3 weeks. Yeah. And so be listening. We'll give you a keyword a little bit later in the program. So we just brought up the Predators there at the end of that segment with Vince Ferrara. Right now, Vancouver going through all kinds of COVID issues. You do wonder, how are they going to make this up? I mean, how long are they going to be out? They've got, more than half their team on protocol. You had Dallas Stars coach leaving the game because of protocol. Peter Mrazek returning to the Predators division for Carolina and pitching a shutout against Dallas. I think the last time I looked with Vancouver, it's over 16 players, I think, or 16 players on the COVID-19 list.
Over half the roster is what I read.
I mean, it's easy to say, well, we knew some of this was possible and that this could happen, and we did know all that, but it's like once you see it to the extent that it's happened with Vancouver, you go, well, damn. Like, certainly not what any team wants to go through, but that's just the price of doing business right now and playing the games. And you got to give the teams in the NHL credit in all sports for powering through this and weathering the storm.
The top team in hockey right now is, without looking, anyone?
Panthers.
The Florida Panthers. Top team in the league. Forget the Central Division. The league. And oh, by the way, they've won, I think, 6 in a row. Is that right? I think
they've won 6 in a row.
Longest winning streak in the league currently.
And they have the lead over the the Lightning by 2. The Lightning have played 1 less game. Carolina's played 2 less games, and Carolina has 53. So the whole thing of, hey, if you get 4th, you play the Lightning, I don't know if that's a given, right? I think we all feel like the Lightning is the best team of those 3, especially with their playoff experience and their goalie. But they may not win the division. It's not a given. That's an interesting race that's going on between those 3 teams. And then, of course, the Predators, having won over Chicago, and then they get the fortune yesterday of watching Dallas and Columbus both lose in regulation. And this thing continues to get more and more interesting. You now have 1 week to go before the trade deadline. And, it's becoming more and more realistic that, Nashville can get 4th. We said this several weeks ago when Nashville was still 6-8 points behind the Blackhawks. There's going to be a mediocre team or not a great team that finishes 4th. Somebody's got to get 4th, right?
Yeah.
And the Predators, with each passing week, are saying, maybe we're not a mediocre team. Maybe we're a pretty good team the way they're playing, especially where their goalie's playing. He's giving them a chance to win every night. Chicago, if you read their account of the game on Saturday, they felt like they probably could have won were it not for some great goaltending by UC Saros. But that's the way the Predators have done it here recently. They have given up some shots, but they have prevented, golden opportunities. And on the other side, they're getting just enough offense to get it done.
And their penalty kill unit has been humming.
Well, the special teams have just changed everything.
Yep.
Right?
Special team, power play.
The power play is now a weapon, and the penalty kill is not an Achilles heel like it was earlier in the season.
Yep.
And that's giving them a chance to win.
Chicago was third best power play unit in the league, and they had a 5-on-3 in the third period to cut the lead in half and get it to a 1-goal game for almost the entire 2 minutes, and were really unable to generate anything. With a 2-man advantage for, like I said, a minute 55. And that would have been a great opportunity for them to cut the lead in half, or who knows? He could have, they could have came away with a couple of power play goals with that. But the penalty kill has been really good. The power play has been humming along. As I said this morning on Robbie and Rex Road Show, it feels like, and I hate using this example because I really don't like to bring up Pac-Man in anything, but it feels like his early days with the Titans, that whenever he went back there, when the team, didn't convert a third down and they sent the punting team out, you didn't leave. You either, whether you're watching on television or you were there at the game, you didn't leave your seat because you just kind of felt like something big was about to happen. That's happening now when the Predators are on the power play. You're not leaving your seat, or you're not going to get up and leave the room, right? Because the power play is working, and Tolvanen right now has changed that, where you're just excited. And the minute he gets the puck with the man advantage, I mean, not only you're not leaving where you are, you're probably standing up because you're excited about what's about to happen. So it feels the same way. Like I said, I don't like comparing anything to Pac-Man, but, truth be told, he was electric. He was electric in that department early on in his career. I mean, he was an unbelievable return guy.
Oh yeah, I can remember those days. So
what's happening? Go ahead, Chase.
Well, I was going to say I get the trepidation of using that comparison, but it is a good one.
And I think what's happening as a result is the other team is sitting there going, we can't go into the box, right? We can't put Nashville on the power play. It's something now you're accounting for. Whereas earlier in the season, hey, take a couple penalties, take some liberties, run Yossi if you want to. We'll kill it off. Don't worry about it. You can't do that anymore. They can make you pay, and it has certainly changed. It's why they've become a much, much better team. And the question now going forward is, what about all these injuries, right? They add 2 more to the list. Carrier out 3 to 5 weeks. He was becoming an excellent story. Now he's gone for the stretch run. Victor Arvidsson, we don't know. There's no, as I understand it, there's no practice, no media availability before they head to Detroit. So it'll be a mystery until tomorrow. What's the status with Arvidsson? how bad is it? Right? It looks scary. Right? Was it more precautionary, or is he going to be out for a good while?
It doesn't feel precautionary, unfortunately. I'm not pretending to be a doctor. I've used this. I used it Saturday in postgame. I used it this morning. Him being helped off the ice felt, I just had a Winter Classic flashback of Ryan Ellis.
And the question is, is it more neck area twisting, or was it concussion, or both? You know, and if it's both, then you got a real problem. But of course, you don't get any information.
It doesn't feel day to day. I'll just put it to that. I hope it is. I want to be so wrong. Man, it'd be awesome if he's in the lineup on tomorrow night, but it just doesn't feel like that.
At this point, that's not. I'm thinking more. What about next week? These things. How long is long? Like, it's all relative.
Well, here's the thing.
How much can you take? How much can a roster take?
Do you know what tomorrow is in the season? Their games. It's game 40. Now, if this was an 82-game season, you'd say, okay, approaching the midway point. No, this is game 40 of 56. And so when you say, is it a week? Is it a couple of weeks? Unfortunately, if it's big. A couple of weeks, right, that's like 7 games.
Exactly.
Maybe 8.
Exactly.
Depending on the weeks.
Well, you got 4 this week.
Yeah. And then, usually it's 3 at minimum. And, usually they're 4-game weeks. But
I'll say this, though. If they're without him and the other injuries that they have sustained, and if they keep this going, and even if they don't get in, but they take it down to the wire and they're right there, I mean, you can't not tip your cap to that. The fact that they have been able to stay, because there have been teams in the past, in sports, that they get to this point, and a lot of their key guys are out. They go, you know what? Let's just get me to the end. Just get me to the end of the season, and then we're done. This team is not doing that. They are fighting. And
that's why you play young guys. Young guys don't have that mentality.
Right.
If you're a young guy trying to make a roster, you're not going in with the mentality of the season's a wash. So
but what does that do? Spot. That's contagious, because then you got the veteran guys like, well, I can't get shown up by the young guys, so let's go after it. And
no question. As much as you're not rooting for it, but maybe the best thing that happened is you're saying a lot of people view it as the worst thing that happened. All the body. Sometimes it's the best thing that happened. Yeah. It's changed a mentality.
Well, I think it's forced them to play a style.
Yes.
That gives them the best chance when you don't have the firepower, right? And now even the theory, hopefully, is as the firepower gradually starts coming back, if it comes back, and hopefully it will sooner than later, but it may not be tomorrow, right? I don't know if they're going to get any of those guys back tomorrow. The question is Ellis getting closer? Is Duchesne getting any closer? You would hope that those guys are tracking based on the timelines that they were given, that they maybe are getting in the neighborhood, but I don't know that right now, right? And it'd be nice for them to run out at practice today. You could see if those guys would be on the ice, but they're not going to do that. They're just going to take off and take a day of rest, and then morning skate tomorrow might tell us a few things. But there's been a big buy-in on, okay, we're not going to outgun the other team. It happened on that road trip when they had all the guys out, right? And they had 6 rookies in the lineup. We have to play this way. If we do, maybe we can be opportunistic on offense. Our power play's pretty good, and our goalie's playing pretty well. And you take those 3 elements, and that's the formula, right? They're playing tough. They're not giving up anything easy, and their power play is generating offense, and their goalie's making all the saves, both goalies.
And another thing we have to do is break. We'll come back with TD on the other side. The DDC, ESPN 102.5, The Game.
This is Ryan Johansson, and this is Smashville. Across the line, drops now for Johansson. He scores! Ryan Johansson scores shorthanded.
You're listening to the flagship of the Nashville Predators radio network, ESPN 102.5, The Game.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Ryan Porth here for TwinSpire Sportsbook, which I'm excited to announce is now live in Tennessee, and they're coming out of the starting gates with their best offer yet for new players with 1 week of risk-free bets up to $1,000. I know I can't wait to take advantage of this during the tournament, and you want to as well. Just download the TwinSpires app using promo code FREE1000 to get started. Void where prohibited. Must be 21 or older and physically present in Tennessee. See full terms and conditions at twinspires.com. Gambling problem? Call or text the Tennessee Red Line 1-800-889-9789.
Boomba's Craft Pizza and Tap House in East Nashville is looking for talented people in the restaurant industry who want to work for a fun, fast-paced restaurant. They're hiring for different roles, such as front of house, servers, bartenders, cooks, and more. Stop by Boomba's Craft Pizza and Tap House in East Nashville at 1003 Russell Street, anytime Monday through Saturday, 10 to 5 p.m. for live on-site interviews. Come be a part of a great restaurant and a great team at Boomba's Craft Pizza and Tap House. Pizza, beer, sports. We'll see you there, Nashville.
Is your performance in the bedroom not what it used to be? Do you take pills for erectile dysfunction, but they just don't work that well? Or perhaps give you side effects like headaches and more? Or do they not work at all, and you've just given up hope? This is Kim for the Tennessee Men's Clinic, and if you're experiencing some or all of these things, you should probably make an appointment with us. Your sexual health has a lot to do with your confidence, your positivity, your energy, and most assuredly, your relationship. But far too many men suffer far too long before seeking help for ED. At the Tennessee Men's Clinic, we're experts in treating these types of conditions. It's all we do. We use proven treatment protocols and treatment combinations that work in nearly 90% of men. So make your appointment today. For just $99, you'll get a consult, blood work, and if medically advised, a test dose. And if that test dose doesn't work in the office, your visit is free. Call us today at 615-208-9090 or go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. Contact your doctor if an erection lasts more than 4 hours. Visit our website to learn more, including side effects. Treatments extra. Individual results vary.
Pro Golf is back in Nashville. Mark your calendar for the Simmons Bank Open May 6th through the 9th. You can see the next wave of PGA Tour stars, plus there'll be fun music events and amazing food. Be a volunteer and get a behind-the-scenes look at the daily operation of a PGA Tour event. To volunteer or to purchase tickets, go to SimmonsBankOpen.com. All military veterans, first responders, and healthcare workers will be admitted free. The Simmons Bank Open helps raise funds for the Snedeker Foundation. Go to SimmonsBankOpen.com for tickets and event information.
Nashville's best sports talk, locally owned, home of our Nashville Predators. WPRT-FM Pegram, 97.5 Murfreesboro, WBUZ HD2 Laverne, online at thegamenashville.com. We are
ESPN
102.5 The Game. Live from the Wholesale Link Studios, powered by RumbleOn.com. It's time for Darren, Daunic, and Chase, with hosts Darren McFarland, Willie Daunic, and Chase McCabe on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game.
Second hour, Darren, Daunic, and Chase here on this Monday morning. This is what I know coming up in about 40 minutes or so, and all you have to do is just tell us what you know. Darren McFarland, Willie Daunic, and Chase McCabe with you. 3 more hours to go. Teron Davenport talking with TD's his podcast, NFL Nation reporter covering the Titans for ESPN and ESPN.com. Also Power Hour, 3 o'clock right here on 102.5 The Game. He now joins us. Mike Vrabel is talking today at noon. We are going to carry that press conference live. What are you expecting to hear from him?
Well, first and foremost, I just appreciate you having the right time for the TD Power Hour, man. That's progress. Thank you for that. As far as Vrabel's concerned, I think it's going to be a good opportunity to just get some of the feedback from him in regards to the trips that he and John Robinson have made. I also would like to, I'm looking forward to him talking about Bud Dupree. We haven't gotten to hear from him about their new acquisition. So those are some of the things that I would imagine there'll be a lot more, though.
We had Ola Adeni on last week, and we had a great conversation with him. He was a lot of fun to talk to. The special teams element and what he can bring to the table, just his personality alone will be a lot of fun to be around. But what do you make of that signing, and what do you think his role is going to be on this team?
Yeah, I think primarily that's going to be as a special teams guy. It's going to be to hold things down. Their coverage unit is definitely one that can improve. So I know Coach Ackerman is looking forward to putting him in the mix, and he seems like an energy guy, and you always want those types on your coverage units. And you could also probably get some spot-up duty from him. As far as the linebackers are concerned, you saw how they used Nick Zubnar a lot in that Baltimore game. So who knows? I mean, if something, God forbid, should happen to any of the three guys that are ahead of him on the chart, he'll definitely be a guy that could come in and help.
Kevin Johnson was a great basketball player, but this guy that we're talking about was not a basketball player. He was a first-round pick by the Texans. I haven't been I haven't been overwhelmed. I've been more underwhelmed than anything with his career to this point. Is there something I'm missing? Are you excited about this? I was just kind of like, eh. So is there something you can tell me that could get me a little bit past eh?
You know, Darren, it's funny you mentioned Kevin Johnson, the basketball player, because he was here in Nashville for the grand opening of the Slim Husky at Fifth and Broad, the one that Kenny Vaccaro. Yeah.
The other KJ? Really?
KJ, the one that dunked on, was it Olajuwon he dunked on?
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Great player.
So it's funny that you mentioned that. Yeah, but as far as Kevin Johnson, the football player, you're right. There is a lot to be desired. Series of injuries and those type of things. He was a first-round pick, definitely didn't really live up to the hype or expectations of a first-round pick. But I will say this, he is someone that I think is a solid depth piece. And I will tell you to go back and watch some of his tape last year with the Browns. They used him as a blitzer out of the nickel, and that was something that he hadn't really done before. You always have the familiarity with the scheme that should help a bit as far as hitting the ground running. He played for Coach Vrabel in 17. And then in addition to that, he does have solid cover skills. I'm not going to say he's a guy that, you want out there starting that left corner or right corner. You don't want that. But I think he's a guy that gives you depth, and it's probably an upgrade from the previous depth options that they had as far as, Ty Smith is concerned, and even before that, LaShawn Sims. So that's something that could be, a half-full approach.
Did you get a chance, by the way, going back on the basketball player, Kevin, did you get a chance to meet him?
Yeah, I spoke with him briefly.
Awesome.
He actually, from what I understand, is a part of, because they actually have a location there in Sacramento. And, he's a former mayor of Sacramento, so he was kind of a part of getting that whole thing done. So it's a small world, man. 6 degrees of separation.
That's great. I was going to say, I thought he was like the mayor. He was the mayor of Sacramento for a good while, wasn't he?
Yeah. He has some time served out there, man, in that role.
Wow, that's crazy. The other one was Ty Sambrailo. They bring him back. What did you make of that signing? Do you like that move?
I think it was a solid move, and from what I've heard, it's not expensive, so that's a good option. And he's a guy that I personally feel could start at right tackle. And that is, it's not exactly the best situation, but I think that keeps them from just having to draft a tackle in the first couple of rounds. And at the very worst, he's a depth guy that you could, start at left or right tackle. I mean, he wasn't bad filling in for, Taylor Lewan, minus the Ravens game where he got hurt, because Yannick Ngakoue was giving him some work. But, I think he's a guy that definitely could be a starter / high-quality reserve.
Along those lines, TD, I saw Dennis Kelly's thank you to the Titans and to the Titans fans. And, that's still one that I think a lot of us, I won't speak for you, but, me for sure was a little surprised to see that happen. He was one of John Robinson's best trades, especially early on in his tenure, considering when he gave up DGB and got Dennis Kelly. What do you think is next for Dennis Kelly in his NFL career?
I tell you something funny, man. I was in Philly, and I remember being at practice, when that news broke, and we all were like, whoa, DGB? This is a good trade for the Eagles. But it turned out, it was a fleecing on John Robinson's part. I think the next step for him is somebody's going to sign him. I mean, it may not be before the draft, but I think when the chips kind of fall, and there are some spots remaining in teams that need a guy that could challenge for a starting spot, or at the very least, do just the same as Sombrero will do for the Titans. And I think he's definitely a guy. So he'll be in the league without a doubt, in my opinion. And whatever team gets him, they're getting a solid player that won't complain. Look at how he handled last year's situation. I mean, just think about that, right? He signed a deal and he was told that he would be the starter. They turned around and drafted Isaiah Wilson in the first round, which means not for long for Dennis Kelly, right? In normal circumstances, never a fuss, never a peep. Anytime he was asked, said that it was his position and that's how he's addressing it, went out and he played ball. So I think that is just another feather in his cap and another reason why a team should absolutely look at bringing him in.
Yeah, absolutely. Just a good team guy. I have said, and we've talked about it, that I believe Ryan Tannehill is good enough to take this team to a Super Bowl if he has the right pieces around him. And we saw what that offense did last year, not only with Derrick Henry running for 2,000 yards, but the things that Tannehill was able to do. Clearly, they've lost a lot from the offensive standpoint, most notably Corey Davis and Jonnu Smith. Do you feel like that they have started, at least with free agency, the process of giving him the proper weapons to use, and then you add whatever they're going to do in the draft by hopefully drafting, a wide receiver or two in this year's draft? Do you feel like he's still going to have enough to be able to take them to where they need to go?
Oh, that's exactly the case, in my opinion. I think adding Josh Reynolds, that if you ask me what will probably be the low-key best signing, it's Josh Reynolds. Obviously, Bud Dupree, you point to him and say, yeah, man, he's going. But I think Josh Reynolds is going to be one of the best low-key signings for that whole division, even, because I think that he could come in and he will play. I was high on him coming out of A&M, and I like the way he is looking forward to and embracing the opportunity to step in as a guy opposite opposite A.J. Brown and benefit from the box being stacked against Derrick Henry. So I think that was good. The tight end position is one that I still have some question, just because Anthony Firkser, he's a really good tight end, in my opinion, from a pass-catching perspective. Jeff Swaim is a really good tight end from a run-blocking perspective. But that being said, I'm no genius. Everyone knows that. So when Firkser's in the game, what do you want to expect? The pass. When Swaim is in the game, what are you going to expect? The run. So that, could be a little bit of a tough situation. That's why a guy like Brevin Jordan, Tommy Tremble, they really stand out to me as guys that the Titans really need to look at. And I spoke to Brevin Jordan on Friday. He'll be on Talking with TD this week. He told me that there has definitely been mutual interest. He has spoken with the OC. He spoke with Coach Rabel as well as John Robinson. So that's a good situation.
Yeah, and looking forward to hearing that later this week. Tell me more, because I know you've done the deep dive into draft prospects, and wide receiver is certainly one we're going to continue to bring up. But Dwayne Eskridge out of Western Michigan, is he somebody that you feel would be a fit with what the Titans are doing?
Absolutely, because Dwayne Eskridge, he's a dog, man. That guy is a dog, and he has all the speed that you will want, and he'll help in the return game. And for me, when I watch him, he's a guy that will clearly be a solid option as a slot, but you could put him out on the outside. And yes, I know he's 5'9", but you can still put him out there. And because of how fast he is, he will be a guy that, could push corners back without even, running a deep route, because they're going to be concerned about his deep pass catching ability, which will open things up, softer coverage underneath for him to run slants and catch that and go. You watch some of his games, man, that guy will catch a slant and he'll find a crease in his curtains. So that's perfect for the yards after catch aspect that the Titans offense just continues to be about. And, they lost a really good one in Jonnu Smith, and they lost, a solid guy in Corey Davis. So they need to find players like Eskridge. I think he would be awesome. He'll help out in the punt return game too. And he's not afraid to go down and block. He'll go dig somebody out if need be.
Teron Davenport is with us. And Teron, I want to go back to Brevin Jordan because I saw what you did with him. I know you're really high on him. Tell me what you liked about him beyond just what you're saying, that they need a tight end. Like we know that, right? So we're all curious, and because you look under rocks that a lot of people don't, right? You're really doing deep dive research into this stuff. So why do you think he's a little bit more special than some?
Yeah, I think he's more special because I love the competitor in him. And even in talking to him on Friday, as well as watching his presser at Pro Day, that guy, you doubt him and it fuels him, and you feel the energy. And I call players like him, I say they have that dog in them. And when I spoke to him, he showed his teeth. Like, you could really tell. So that's something. I think the drive to be better is another thing. And you watch the versatility that he brings. I mean, this is a guy, he played fullback at one point at the U. And we're talking about the number one tight end prospect in high school in the nation, played fullback as a freshman. That shows me humility and willingness to do whatever needs to be done to help the team. Now then from there, the way that the other OCs that he had used him as far as an H-back, blocking, releasing into the flat, lining up in the slot and running routes like a receiver. I love the nuance that he has, and I told him that, the head fakes and the leans that he's able to use to run posts and do things like that to get open. But then he can line up on the outside as well. He reminds me of Aaron Hernandez, very much so, just in that he's a Swiss Army knife. And that's something. And then once he catches the ball, the yards after catch ability and the way he runs, it reminds me of Jonnu Smith. So I think if you could get a guy that has both of those aspects to his game, I think it's a win. Now, obviously, he's not someone they're talking about in the first round. There are some things, right? Like, he didn't have the best athletic profile as far as the spider charts and those things are concerned after the pro day. But you go ahead and ask him about it. As a matter of fact, listen to when I asked him about that on Talking with TD, and you'll hear him, like I said, show his teeth. So I think, he has everything that you want as far as, a football player is concerned. He may not be the best triathlete, but I think he's a very good football player.
You made a comment on a post that had a clip of John Robinson jumping in, working with a player at a pro day. And so I'm just curious, what do you think John Robinson does, and what is the right thing? Like, if you were assigned to Ron to go around to these different pro days, tell me what you're looking for, because we all see the hype and we all know the 40 times, maybe the 40 times are a little bit juiced up, as opposed to the real strict ones you would have at a combine. But what little nuances do you think you can find when you go to these campuses and you see these guys firsthand?
Yeah, well, I'll say this, the spider charts that you're able to pull from short shuttle and 40 and all that stuff, I put maybe 3% into that, maybe 3%, because I'm not bringing a guy in to run circles and run around cones in shorts and T-shirts. I'm bringing him in to play football. So for me, like, when I watch the football drills, that would be what I focus on. And I think, like in John Robinson's case, what he did, I would do the same thing. Probably not have the same results because, Robinson is a bigger guy than me. I might fly if Zaven Collins puts his hands on me like that, So I think, to be serious, you could feel his power. You know what I mean? And that's something you saw Mike Vrabel do with Ed Oliver. You saw him do that with Christian Wilkins, when he was at Clemson's pro day. You could actually feel the power. Like, it's one thing to watch it, but to feel it, then you could really, okay, you know what? That guy really does have the hands that we all saw that were strong on film. So that's really the main thing, just being able to go there and experience that guy as a football player. That's huge, and that's why I give both Coach Vrabel and John Robinson credit for being, some of the few, especially John Robinson. You don't see many GMs hopping in drills, but that's why I made that comment. He's a former coach, so that's something that he knows. That's what he knows. It's in his DNA.
So, Ron, we might actually get to see the Mets play tonight. We've had to wait. We've had to be patient, haven't we?
Listen, I was going to say that, man. I was going to say Merry Christmas, my brother. We're going to open up this nice present I got my orange Mets shirt on right now, and we got an early present too. Zach Wheeler pitched a jam against the Braves to beat them. So, eat that up, Chase.
Yeah, Chase. We'll see if we can hang a loss on the Phillies before they run away with the division.
Yeah.
0-3.
Not a good start.
How's 0-3 sound? Not good, huh?
Jeez.
Doesn't feel good.
They could not catch a break. I mean, the Phillies, give them credit, but
I noticed he hasn't been doing any chops today so far.
There wasn't a lot of chops.
No.
It's early on. It's early in the season. We're just getting underway here.
There's only 159 games to go.
Exactly.
Hey, listen, you guys. I don't know if you've seen the meme that used to float around, years ago. It was of Tiger Woods, and it would have like a picture of him up and excited. And they would say Mets fans at the start of the season, and then it had a not too good picture, and that would say Mets fans by July. So hopefully we get the happy face throughout the year, because I know I'm happy, man. I got my orange Mets shirt on now, and everything. The schedule is closed for starting at 5:30 p.m. Nothing is happening from me except for watching the Mets.
All right, now we do have one other big game tonight, though, Teron. Any thoughts on Baylor Gonzaga for the final game of the college season?
No thoughts. I haven't really followed.
So you're more into the Mets tonight than Baylor Gonzaga.
And more into the Mets. I'll probably watch film before I watch that game. But hey, man, shout out to Suggs. He made that bank shot on Saturday, and he's a former quarterback in high school. So we'll see what happens, man. Shout out Gonzaga.
All right. Yeah, I heard Suggs could have been a big-time college football player for sure. Teron, excellent stuff. Love the research you're doing, all the hard work you have, and sharing it with us on the show.
Yeah,
let's go, Mets.
Man. We got Asante Samuel Jr. coming up for Wednesday, as well as Brevin Jordan. Patrick Jones will be either on this show or next week's. But hey, man, this is what we do.
Great stuff. Teron Davenport, catch him all week long on his different appearances on our radio station. You can follow him on Twitter. He really does stuff that nobody else does during this time of the year. He does not just cover the Titans. He goes way, way beyond that. So we appreciate everything he does. Let me tell you about a brand new sponsor on our show that is really got a great message and a great program for you, because springtime, I don't know what it is, but I feel like springtime is a time where you start thinking about projects, remodeling projects, things that you want to get done. You got tax season you got to get over with. Here is a time to think about refinancing your home. Refinancing, if I can say it. But I want to tell you about Loan Pronto, because refinancing can be a bear, right? Maybe in the past you've had all kinds of issues saying, do I want to do this? It takes a lot of work. I got to put all this stuff together. Well, those days are over. Loan Pronto is seeing to it. They're cutting through all of the red tape, and they make the process really good, new, faster, easier, less expensive, which is huge. And it's a great way to get a new home loan or refinance your current mortgage. So if your loan mortgage rate right now is over 3%, you need to call this number right now, 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 for Loan Pronto, because they've got the zero-cost refi. They'll cover all of your closing costs. They'll get you the absolute best rate available. And as I said before, they're going to simplify the process. This is going to be way, way easier for you, and it's going to get you the home equity that you need. Work off that home equity to get 30, 40, 50 grand for that home improvement project you've been looking to do. Or if you're looking to get rid of some of those credit card bills, you can use it for that purpose as well. Or just basically this, lower your mortgage payment. There's nothing wrong with that. Just do that. It's a great way to go. Loan Pronto makes it easy. In fact, if you refinance now, you can skip your next 2 house payments altogether. Now that is news right there. So make the call, 615-499-5780, or go to loanpronto.com. Ask about that zero-cost refi right now, 499-5780. NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval. No cash refi, not available on all loans.
The NHL Trade Deadline is coming up April 12th.
Whatever your plan was, as we get closer to April 12th, I just think you stay the course.
What will the Predators do before that date?
Paula, fine, let him go. Cousins, fine, let him go. Granlund, definitely let him go if they're going to give you something good.
The only place to get coverage of your Predators at the trade deadline is Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
While the world shuts down due to the coronavirus, areas of Nashville still need your help with tornado relief. Visit crcnashville.org to find ways you can donate to the effort. Together, we are Nashville Strong.
Weight management is an ever-increasing field that's full of empty promises, yo-yo dieting, and dangerous diet supplements. At Cool Springs MD, they provide a safe and effective weight management solution with the support of Dr. Jeffrey Lodge, a board-certified physician, and wife Daphne, a registered nurse. Every individual is different, and the professional staff at Cool Springs MD are passionate about giving each person the one-on-one attention they deserve. Call Cool Springs MD today for an appointment at 615-660-6900 or visit coolspringsmd.com.
In March, Wholesale Inc. lost most of their buildings to the tornado. 2 weeks later, COVID-19 hit. Through all, they remained open so customers could still purchase vehicles through home deliveries. They may look different now, but they are 100% open to the public. If you're in the market for a quality pre-owned vehicle or to sell your vehicle, motorcycle, or ATV, stop by Wholesale Inc. at 8037 Eastgate Boulevard in Mount Juliet, wholesaleinc.com, or request shipping or free home delivery. Get the vehicle you want at the price you deserve. Wholesale Inc. Buy where the dealers buy.
With staggering strength and enduring persistence, a tornado overtook Nashville March 3rd, 2020. The vicious tornado ravaged East Nashville, but it is with great excitement to announce the grand reopening of Boomba's Craft Pizza and Tap House in East Nashville in early April. The playground will be back for all the kiddos. An all-new 44-foot indoor-outdoor bar, plus 50 big screen TVs, their signature video wall, and of course, their award-winning craft pizza. Boomba's is Nashville strong and now hiring. Live interviews every day except Sunday from 10 to 5 at Boomba's Craft Pizza and Tap House in East Nashville.
Most shoppers today fall into one of two categories. You could be like Dave, who settles for nothing but the finest.
I drive only European luxury sedans, wear the finest Italian leather shoes. My shirts are custom made, and I expect white glove service from those I do business with. I appreciate world-class brands, and at this point in my life, I just don't want to compromise on quality, no matter what I buy.
Or you might be like Steve, whose goal is to always get the best deal.
I'm frugal. I'm all about finding value. I want the best price, and I don't mind going out of my way to get it. I work hard for my money. I just want to make sure when I buy something, I can have confidence in knowing I'm not overpaying for it. Stop being cheap. It's being smart.
You never see these two guys in the same store, except for one.
That's why I shop at Genesis Diamonds.
Genesis Diamonds is that rare shopping experience where you can have it all. Uncompromising luxury and unbeatable value. Exceptional service and the guaranteed best price in America. A premium experience and a smart purchase. This is where the best of all worlds come together. Genesis Diamonds, voted best jewelry store year after year. Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Preds Insiders with Ryan Porth.
That is a quality hire to a pretty solid group under John Hines.
Stay up to date with the latest in Smashville. Mondays at 6. Preds Insiders brought to you by Dr. Kelly Rice. We are Smashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
1025 The Game.
Hey Nashville, this is new Vanderbilt head coach Jerry Stackhouse. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 1025 The Game.
Don't forget, tomorrow morning at 8:45, Robbie and Rexroad, be listening. Your chance to participate in Preds Pick to Click, because tomorrow will be a game day. They will be in Detroit to take on the Red Wings. A 6:30 puck drop. Pete Weber and Hal Gill will have your call right here on these airwaves, and I will have pregame for you at 5:30. We'll see if the Predators can keep this train rolling down the tracks. They've won 9 of their last 11. So an opportunity tomorrow morning, Robbie and Rexroad, 8:45. Preds Pick to Click. What does that mean? You pick a Predators player to score a goal. If they do so, you win a prize pack brought to you by New Amsterdam Vodka. So be listening tomorrow morning. By the way, today, speaking of that, is exactly a week out from the trading deadline.
Trading deadline.
And so far, crickets.
I just think
birds.
there's a lot of
I hear
teams.
birds in the background, but I also hear crickets.
There's a lot of teams that are right on that fence. I read, when you read about the teams that the Predators are contending with for that fourth spot. They're all in the same boat. A guy that I thought played really well in the recent games between the Predators and the Blackhawks is Matthias Yanmark, right? He was signed to a one-year deal, very similar to Mikael Granlund. He's having an outstanding year. It's uncertain whether the Blackhawks want to re-sign him, and so there's a lot of trade rumors about him. So my point is, it's no different for Chicago than it is for Nashville. Same thing with Dallas. Dallas is the defending Western Conference champion. They're in a window to win, you would think. You know, they still, I still feel like they're the team that is best equipped to make a run, even though they're banged up, etc. They're so tough defensively. If they get hot offensively, I think look out, because they still, down the road, are hoping to get Sagan and Ben Bishop back.
Is Radulov back in the lineup?
Not yet.
I was going to say, he's been out for a good while.
Yeah, that's another guy. But still, they're hanging around. They lost yesterday, but they got a split in Carolina. They got a big come from behind win on Saturday, which helped them. It was the first time all year, not first time all year, but the first time since they had gone 4-0 to start the year that they had won 2 in a row. But they're talking about, what do we do? Do we trade a couple guys off? What's the best thing?
Well, they
can't.
And
obviously,
though.
Columbus is in the same boat.
But they can't add. They have to, if they're doing anything.
I'm talking about trading off people.
Yeah.
Trading away people. I don't think any of the teams are going to add. I think that's a complete certainty.
Yeah. Agreed.
Columbus, Chicago, Dallas, Nashville, they're not adding. It's a question of whether they're going to trade and get assets down the road and still try to get fourth. So you might try. I think all these teams might try to do both. They might trade a guy or two and still try. They're not selling per se. They're just retooling and still keeping enough to where they think they can maybe still snag that fourth place.
I mean, that's the difficult part with this, but also just from the fans' point of view, the fun part of watching these GMs and who's going to be the best at retooling and not, messing up what you have, but, being able to do enough to kind of add to it with also planning for the future. So that's an art, and that's an art that we have seen GMs be very good at, and we've seen GMs not be so good at it. And it just changes year to year. I mean, a lot of it is going to depend on whatever players you keep on your team. What are they going to be able to do? Like we were talking about earlier, the young guys on this team at the Predators have really pushed that hunger, and that hunger has been contagious with the veterans that are in the lineup that are playing, and so therefore you've seen them move into fourth place. But can they keep that stuff up if they were to make a move where they take somebody off this roster that either has been here for a while or has been a key piece this year? So but that's the hard part of using the analogy of when to get up from the table, when to know that, all right, this is the best I'm going to do. I have won as many hands as possible. I need to walk away with what I have while I still have it. And that is just the tough part for any GM to have to figure out.
It comes back to the dilemma that we've been talking about for weeks, and that is Ekholm and Granlund are the two guys that are at the top of any. You just go to any trade board, right? You're going to see their names on there. But those two guys have been the glue, in my opinion, and I think my opinion would be shared by a lot of people, you guys included, who watch them every night. What would they do without those guys? Right? Oh. You do have to consider that. Those guys have played their guts out. Granlund, I think, plays the most minutes by far of any forward, and Ekholm has played huge minutes with a revolving door of players as his partner because of all the injuries, right?
Well, but quite honestly, I mean, what would we be talking about if that's the only reason we're having the discussion? If they weren't contributing or doing anything, then there would be nothing to talk about. I mean, isn't that usually how it works? I mean, that's why we're talking about their consideration, because they're sought after. Teams want them because of that. If they weren't doing anything, we wouldn't have this conversation. So it kind of goes without saying that Of course they're contributing. Of course they're a vital part of the success of what they've been doing right now. Or we wouldn't be having this conversation, because if they weren't doing anything, it goes back to like the Kyle Turris stuff, right? It's like, oh, Kyle Turris, they got to get – well, that's great that you have to get rid of him, but nobody wants him. That was the problem. Well,
right.
Yeah, but nobody wants him. So the fact that the reason that we're having this discussion, and because you see all that out there, is because they're sought after. So it kind of goes without saying, of course, they have been big contributors to this team, because if they weren't doing anything, there would be nothing to talk about. No one would have any interest in them. So, yes, does it make David Poyle's job any easier? No, but I mean, I'll just continue to say it. And I don't know, I don't have a clue what's going to happen in the next week. But whatever they've been talking about for the last 3 to 4 weeks, I don't think you change course. Whatever they've been discussing and whatever their plan was or is, I don't think you change course. That's just my 2 cents. I haven't changed my opinion on it, and I'm not going to. I just think whatever you decide is the best for the future of this franchise, moving forward, to put yourself in the best position, whatever that may be. And it may be hold them, as Kenny Rogers would say. Maybe they're not going to fold anything. Maybe it's hold. I don't know. But whatever you think is the best for this season and moving forward, I think you stay the course. I don't think you change anything because they're 9-2 in their last 11, or they're currently in the 4th spot. I mean, it's easy when you're Detroit, right? Or if you're at the bottom, and everybody had come to the conclusion game 40 is tomorrow, and who's kidding who, right? Kind of like the thoughts that we had, people had 3.5 weeks ago, right? 3+ weeks ago, where everybody's like, oh, this season's over. Just play the young guys. This thing is over. Get rid of everybody. Dump everybody. No chance. I would love to know those people that put all that out there on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and all over the place. I'd like to know what their thoughts are today, because
sure,
they said that this season was over. They said it was literally over. Fire everybody, get rid of everybody. This season's a lost cause. Well, clearly you were wrong. So are you willing to admit you were wrong? And now what do you have to say? What's your new thoughts? Because
I would imagine now it's like, oh, well, you got to go for it. I mean, go trade for Taylor Hall and let's just reload and go after it. You know how
you can't put. Then that's right. Daily GM is a bad way to go about it. Playing daily GM is bad. It's a recipe for disaster. Waking up and checking the win patterns, and that's how you're going to operate that day as a general manager, is a bad way to go about business.
I think,
or check the standings. Like, that's why I said whatever you have been talking about, as in what is the best for this team and this organization for the rest of this season and moving forward, whatever that plan is, you stay the course.
I'm just
really
going to
say
curious.
this real quick.
Go ahead, Chase.
I was just going to say, you know how Herm said don't hit send and to wait 60 seconds?
Yep.
I just had one of those moments. So go ahead, Willie.
Oh, well, I mean, you're just going to leave it at that? What does that mean?
It means that I was going to say something, and then I heard Herm say, don't hit send, and I said,
okay.
You held
I
off.
won't hit send.
Okay, well, good. Way to listen to Herm.
Do you feel like that was the right decision?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Well,
you
we'll
would
check
have
back with
laughed. You both would have laughed, but yes, I do.
We'll check back with you in 60 seconds, and if you've changed your mind, and let it fly. But here's one thing I think to keep in mind. If you've been one that says you got to get younger, you got to replenish the farm system, because that's true, right? You have to make sure that you are thinking short term and long term here, because this is not a team that has got all the ducks in a row, and you're saying, maybe just like you did 2 or 3 years ago, saying this is a team that has a chance to win the whole thing right now. Right now, realistically, they're a long shot to win the whole thing, right? But it's a nice story. You're trying to retool. You're trying to maybe get into the playoffs, and you never know what can happen when you're in the playoffs, right? You could win a couple rounds and surprise some people. Crazy stuff happens every year in the playoffs. But regardless, they're playing at least 4 rookies every night, right? And sometimes more. They played as many as 6. They've used 12 defensemen. They've used 10 rookies total. So they're getting a look at a lot of young guys here. The cupboard is not stocked, but the cupboard isn't bare, right? You've got Tolvanen. You've got Tomasino doing really well. You've got this Askarov overseas who is who I everybody's extremely high on long term. You've got Alex Carrier has been a nice story. Trenton and Olivier look more and more like they're keepers, put them in there every night kind of guys going forward here. So they've made a lot of strides, right? They picked up Ferentz, a draft pick that they're very high on. You might see him in a game or two before it's all over this year. So it's not like the cupboard is bare, right? Now, would it be nice to add another first-round pick or a couple more assets? No question. No question. But if they don't, it's not like they have nothing in the system here, right? It's not like they have no first-round pick in the draft coming up, or they traded next year's first-round pick, things like that. So keep that in mind.
Chase, I think you should have used it. I'm just saying that's just my opinion, but
yeah.
Is the window passed?
It would have been hilarious. It would have been hilarious. But I understand.
The moment's passed.
It has, but I would have liked for you to have said it. But hey,
it's okay.
I don't agree with Herm on this one.
There will be more.
But in the end, you probably made the right decision. Anyway,
there will be more.
Here's another thing, guys. You tell me.
I don't even remember what I was going to say now.
you guys tell me if UC Saros has another big week, or just another week where he's in the same ballpark here, and he just stays in this groove. Maybe he's been phenomenal, right? He's got to come back to earth a little bit somewhere, but the fact is he's playing about as well as you can play, right? Look at the league wide. Who's playing better than him, stats-wise, over the last few weeks? Nobody, right? That's something you got to consider when you make your choice, right? Can he stay there? Because he's a big part of the question going forward, right? Is, what do we know about him in terms of, is he the guy for the next few years, right? They've got to decide what to do with him.
Well, as I said this morning, what's different about this, because they said, well, basically along the same lines of what you're talking about. And I said, well, the difference, this is my take. You guys tell me if you agree or disagree. The book on UC Saros is slow starts, and then he gets going, right? And he gets in a groove. And so we've seen him get hot. We've seen him get into a groove. In fact, I remember this time last year before the pause, did he not shut out the Dallas Stars 2 out of the final 3 games, or 2 out of 3 games? He had 2 shutouts against the Stars, or maybe it was in back-to-back games. I don't remember, but he was red hot, and then there was a pause. The difference is he's always been the backup, unless Pekka, something was wrong with Pekka. He's always been the backup, and he's in a different role now. He's in a role where now, if he's playing like this, well, John Hines is just going to play the hot goaltender, but he has been, I guess, air quote, deemed the starter from the start. Basically, okay, you are the starter until further notice. And the difference is he's now the starter rather than him being the hot backup goaltender. And so he's getting the opportunity. And now if he keeps playing like this, he's just going to keep starting. Like it doesn't matter honestly, I feel like if he's playing this way and they're in a back-to-back situation, which I don't even know when's the next back-to-back.
This weekend.
Yeah, that's right. This week in Tampa and Dallas. I'm not sure John Hines is going to make a change. I mean, he probably will, because they just got off one and they did not play him. But look, as the season we just talked about, game 40 is tomorrow night. I mean, there's not much season left. And if you are vying for a forward spot, every point, every game is critical down the stretch. And so if you are trying to get in, you're going to ride the hot hand. And so I think the biggest difference is UC now has the opportunity. We get to see it for longer stretches than we've ever seen it before. Is that not fair? Because he's always been the backup.
Well, I agree with you. And as you're evaluating what is his? Obviously, what's the alternative? The alternative is you go shopping out in the hinterlands, right, until Askarov is ready, and you bring in a brand new guy. At this point, right?
Is that close to Lebanon, or is that beyond Lebanon?
The hinterlands would be just beyond Lebanon.
Okay, gotcha.
They would just beyond Lebanon. And you would head to like the Cumberland Plateau.
Oh, okay, yeah. That's like Crossville.
And I don't know if there's any goalies there or not, but
no.
Like you got to decide what is UC Saros worth.
Cool NASCAR
and so
story
when you are evaluating him, as Darren said, a new chapter in his career. It might have started happening last year until the pause, and then they kind of went with him in that series. He didn't play great, but you might find out more one way or the other about him down the stretch this year in a playoff race. And if you did get in, you'd see what he looks like up against one of the top dogs, whoever that is, see how he plays in the playoffs.
But it wasn't really until the return to play, Willie, that was the first sign of the changing of the guard, right? That was like the true sign.
He had started
not sign. I shouldn't say that was like the first example of, wow, they've really changed the guard because they came back and UC played against Arizona.
But there was signs of it. It had started to happen because he had played so well.
Mm-hmm.
And quite honestly, Pekka had struggled during that same time, but they were fighting to get into the playoffs, and it looked like it was turning the corner, and he had a lot to do with it. It's very similar to what's happened this year, only at another level. I think Saros is even better this year. But now let's see what happens going forward here as he gets the reins. Every night he's ready to go, he's going to be in there as long as he's playing anywhere close to what this looks like.
All right, we will come back and wrap up this hour with This Is What I Know. We're up against it. Jump in there. Let's participate. And then we've got Mike Vrabel at high noon. It's everyone's favorite tournament of the year. Yes, the golfers are in Augusta, Georgia to compete for that green jacket. And DraftKings, America's top-rated sportsbook app, is going to put you right in the center of all the action, giving you the shot to land on the green. Who doesn't want to put it on the green? Well, this week, DraftKings is giving you 100-1 odds on the golfer of your choosing to finish in the top 10. If you haven't tried DraftKings, this is the time. And all you have to do is take $1 and turn it into $100. And it's this simple. Pick any golfer from this weekend's tournament, and if they finish in the top 10, you cash $100. 100-1 odds on an offer like this doesn't come around often, so sign up for DraftKings Sportsbook right now. Get in on all the action. And remember, the tournament starts, they tee off this Thursday morning. DraftKings is safe, secure, reliable, so you can deposit and withdraw your funds at your convenience. All you have to do is download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app. Right now, use that promo code 1025GAME. 1025GAME when you sign up, turn $1 into $100, and all you have to do is choose a golfer, and if they finish in the top 10 of this weekend's tournament, you win $100. Use that code again, 1025GAME. This is for a limited time, only at DraftKings Sportsbook. You must be 21 years of age or older, Tennessee only. Restrictions do apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and needs help, call or text the Tennessee Red Line, 1-800-889-9789.
Take us wherever you may go.
There are two guys on my untouchable list.
Tune us in anywhere, anytime.
Every team's got those. That's my point.
Just search The Game Nashville in your app store and download today. And keep it locked on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
1025 The Game.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
I'm Fox 17 News Code Red meteorologist Dan Guthrie. Temperatures will continue to warm for us from the 50s and 60s into the 70s this afternoon. In fact, we'll push near 80 with a chance to hit it tomorrow, and then storms back midweek.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
If you've been thinking about remodeling your home's kitchen or bath, contact the countertop experts at Smoky Mountain Tops. Willie Daunic here, and we installed Smoky Mountain Top surfacing in our kitchen years ago. It's remained durable and super easy to clean up. Smoky Mountain Tops is proud to offer the new prestigious Vidara quartz for your kitchen or bath countertops. Vidara surfaces are ideal for use in almost any interior application. Check out the stunning new Vidara quartz shown at Smoky Mountain Top Studio. Contact the pros at Smoky Mountain Tops. Quality, service, and dedication. Visit SmokyMountainTops.com.
In March, Wholesale Inc. lost most of their buildings to the tornado. 2 weeks later, COVID-19 hit. Through all, they remained open so customers could still purchase vehicles through home deliveries. They may look different now, but they are 100% open to the public. If you're in the market for a quality pre-owned vehicle or to sell your vehicle, motorcycle, or ATV, stop by Wholesale Inc. at 8037 Eastgate Boulevard in Mount Juliet, wholesaleinc.com, or request shipping or free home delivery. Get the vehicle you want at the price you deserve. Wholesale Inc. Buy where the dealers buy.
The IRS doesn't mess around. If they want your money, they'll take it. They can take your paycheck and bank accounts too, even threaten your home or business. Don't take on the IRS alone. If you owe back taxes, the smartest thing you can do is call Optima Tax Relief. The experts at Optima specialize in a powerful IRS tax assistance program called the Fresh Start Initiative. And their clients that qualify are saving thousands, even tens of thousands. One call starts the process to stop the demand letters, stop aggressive collection actions, and stop the IRS from targeting you. But don't delay. It's important to act now while you still have options. Optima is A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. Optima has already resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. Get your life back. For tax help you need, for tax help you can trust, call Optima now for your free consultation.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Jared Stillman.
How much progress will they have to make this offseason to close that gap?
And company.
Every single year, you have to make progress. The league changes. It evolves.
Tune in Stillman and Company for your drive home. Weekday afternoons from 2 to 6 on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN.
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Interact with Darren, Daunic, and Chase. Call or text the show at 615-737-1025. Driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Some things you just know.
I have to know. Do you think everybody knows?
When you know, you just know. It's time to set the record straight. Join the fun on This Is What I Know with Darren, Daunic, and Chase.
We do. We need to move in a hurry. 615-737-1025. 737-1025. Tell us what you know. It's open-ended. It's an open canvas. Take it however you want. Just keep it clean. Got a 4-person pod to see John Party live at the concert on the Bonnaroo Farm in Manchester. That's May 29th.
It's a good prize.
May 29th. Concert on the Bonnaroo Farm in Manchester, a 4-person pod to see John Party. But you have to get in there and participate. Tell us what you know. 615-737-1025. That's our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Let's start things off with Nate. Nate, what do you know?
This is what I know, fellas. The one place I definitely do not want to remove my mask is a public restroom. Friday, I was exiting a store restroom, and a guy walked in and just immediately pulled his mask down. I was thinking, are you wanting to smell the awful, supposed to be smell good stuff in the bathroom that's supposed to eliminate the terrible smells? I don't understand it, and I didn't at the time.
Okay. Some little bathroom info.
All right.
Okay.
Okay.
Right.
Thank you, Nate.
Do you guys have anything you would like to pass along?
Well, this is what I know. It seems like every week I'm saying something about Jack Leiter, but he ended up giving up 3 hits, gave up a run, actually gave up a home run. But his first 4 innings against LSU, if you saw it, it was unbelievable how much he dominated. It looked like one of those little league games where, you know, you've got one pitcher that's just a big Hulk, big hoss, and he just overpowers everybody, and you're happy if you just hit a foul ball. That's what it looked like for Jack Leiter. He had 11 strikeouts through 4 innings. There were 2 balls that were put in play. One was a fly out to center. The other was a bunt where the guy squared around. The pitch was up and in. It almost killed him. But he hit one. He bunted it down the line, and he made it to first because they made an error on the play. But he was incredible. Again, the Jack Leiter story just keeps getting more and more. And obviously, Kumar Rocker not far behind. If he is behind, he pitched great innings as well against LSU. LSU and Tennessee I'm sorry, Tennessee and Vanderbilt each swept LSU. Tennessee's got a heck of a baseball team. They play each other in 2 weeks.
LSU not that good this year.
They're better than it looks because they've just run up against a couple buzzsaws here. I think they'll start to win some games.
Yeah, aren't they like 1-9 in SEC play?
They're 1-8, but they're 0-6 against Tennessee and Vanderbilt. So we'll see if they start beating up on some teams here soon. But yeah, they do have some trouble, but Tennessee's pretty good. Let's see what happens. Vanderbilt goes to Knoxville, not this weekend, but next weekend.
Do Rocker and Leiter go 1-2 in the draft?
You know what? I'm not a scout, but man, if I watch those guys, I can't see how you wouldn't pick one of them if you had those picks.
So clarify that Leiter is eligible this year, right? Because we were talking about that in Barrel House
when he was mowing down LSU.
Yeah.
And when we interviewed him, he's a sophomore. Is he a redshirt sophomore?
No. He is old enough age-wise to qualify.
I kept telling you, I was like, Chase, but he's a sophomore. I don't understand people that are talking about him being. I was like, he's a sophomore. I don't remember him redshirting.
The rule is if you turn a certain age by a certain date, you're eligible. So they knew when he came onto the campus last year.
So he was a little bit older.
That he was a little bit older, and he would be eligible for the draft.
Okay.
So it's sad.
Wow.
They're only going to get one full season plus whatever they had last year.
Okay.
But
I was trying to figure out. I was like, why are people talking about him being eligible? He's a sophomore. I don't remember him redshirting. There you go.
There you go. Real quick, what I know, Kenneth is asking what a 4-person pod is. That's basically a 4-pack of tickets, but you're all right there together in your own little pod for social distancing.
Yeah. Yeah. In other words, you can sit with your group.
Yep. Yep. So that's what it is. That's what.
Okay, that's good. That's very good. I don't really know this. Well, actually, I'll phrase it this way. This is what I know. I think 8:20 is a little bit of a late start for tonight. Like, could we meet somewhere around 7:45? I think
I feel like we go through this every year.
It 8:20 is 9:20 Eastern time. 9:20 Eastern time. Look, the four of us, we're going to be watching. Okay, we got that. But man, there's a lot of people that have to get up early, and that's awfully late. That they may have to forfeit finishing this thing out, especially if it's not a game. They're bouncing. Because I know I've talked to people like, man, 8:20, really? And it doesn't really apply to us. But I'm thinking like 7:45 our time. That gets you in bed 10 o'clock our time. Right? It should be over and done for people who have to get up and go to work early that really want to watch this. I just think, like, why 8:20 as tip? Does anybody else feel that way?
Oh, I do. I think it's way too late.
I hate it.
Okay. I just that's a little late. That's what I know. All right, we'll come back. Mike Vrabel is going to talk here coming up at high noon. We will join in with that live. That's next on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Tuesday nights. Here's Yossi cutting in. Yossi slides it in. And the Predators win it overtime.
Roman Yossi and the Nashville Predators hit the road and head north for the start of a 2-game set against Detroit. Pre-game at 5:30. Face-off at 6:30.
On ESPN
102.5 The Game and The Game Nashville.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Tune in to ESPN 102.5 The Game every Tuesday afternoon at 4:30 for ESPN's Trevor Maddox joining me, Jared Stillman, on Stillman & Company as we dive deep into the college football world and all the latest from the SEC. It's all brought to you by Houston Clinic Orthopedics, when experience matters.
Tired of overpaying for out-of-date office phones? True mobility is crucial in today's work environment. Take your office phone to your house, connect to the internet, or through mobile apps, and stay connected to employees and customers seamlessly. Get auto-attendant, video calls, voicemail, music on hold. An IP phone system from TechCore makes communication possible anytime, anywhere. Stop wasting time and money. Contact Jamie Wolf at TechCore today at techcore1.com. or call 615-410-4550. That's 615-410-4550. IP work phones can save money, make communication easier, and protect you from ransomware. Just back up your computer through your phone. Contact Jamie Wolf at TechCore. He can show you how. Go to TechCore1.com. That's TechCore1.com. TechCore1.com. Or call 615-410-4550.
Most shoppers today fall into one of two categories. You could be like Dave, who settles for nothing but the finest.
I drive only European luxury sedans, wear the finest Italian leather shoes. My shirts are custom made, and I expect white glove service from those I do business with. I appreciate world-class brands, and at this point in my life, I just don't want to compromise on quality, no matter what I buy.
Or you might be like Steve, whose goal is to always get the best deal.
I'm frugal. I'm all about finding value. I want the best price, and I don't mind going out of my way to get it. I work hard for my money. I just want to make sure when I buy something, I can have confidence in knowing I'm not overpaying for it. Stop being cheap. It's being smart.
You never see these two guys in the same store. Except for one.
That's why I shop at Genesis Diamonds.
Genesis Diamonds is that rare shopping experience where you can have it all. Uncompromising luxury and unbeatable value. Exceptional service and the guaranteed best price in America. A premium experience and a smart purchase. This is where the best of all worlds come together. Genesis Diamonds, voted best jewelry store year after year. Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Nashville's best sports talk, locally owned, home of our Nashville Predators. WPRT FM Pegram, 97.5 Murfreesboro, WBUZ HD2 Laverne, online at thegamenashville.com. We are
ESPN
102.5 The Game. Live from the Wholesale Link Studios, powered by RumbleOn.com. It's time for Darren, Daunic, and Chase. With hosts Darren McFarland, Willie Daunic, and Chase McCabe. On Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game.
Third hour, Darren, Daunic, and Chase on this Monday afternoon. Hope everybody's having a good day so far. Don't forget, T-Mobile and us here at the game are giving you and 3 friends, speaking of pods, a chance to win a stay-and-play experience at Hermitage Golf Course. Be listening today at 4:15 for the keyword to text in to our text line at 615-737-1025. More details can be found at thegamenashville.com. contest page. All right, let's head over to the Titans facility and let's hear from Titans head coach Mike Vrabel.
Good. Well, to start off, this offseason, there's been so many changes on the defensive side of the ball. How much of that is a reaction to what was done last year, and how much better is this unit at this moment, even before the draft?
I don't know how better anybody is. You know, I mean, we're all back to the same place we were last season, Teresa. I think that's the nature of this business, is that you make decisions after the season and try to make them with the team's best interest in mind. And, you know, you build a roster, and then, you know, when we get the players back, whenever that may be, we'll try to, we'll try to improve. We'll try to start over and see what we carried over and what we want to continue to keep working with. And then, you know, what we want to add.
Jim?
And Mike, how much potential are things to be better from a pass rushing standpoint with Bud Dupree and Danico Autry? And can you kind of give your thoughts on each guy?
I mean, I think you have vision for players, and you know, that's an area that we have to improve, among many others. You know, I think that these guys are, you know, instinctive players, you know, that have made plays and have been productive throughout the course of their careers. We've all, you know, enjoyed the visit that we've had with them, coached against those guys, watched them from afar, and I've always respected how they played. Certainly difficult to prepare for. Danico, you know, we saw, you know, a few times a year. You know, Bud not quite as much, but you know, studied him extensively coming out, and then, you know, the impact that he's made for the Steelers as well.
Darren?
Yeah, what's up, Coach? With everything going on as far as how much the evaluation process has changed, what have been some of the biggest difficulties or differences for you as you go through it?
I mean, I think that we're enjoying the Zoom interviews. I think that, it's allowed us, probably more time, than what we've had. You can't meet with them at pro day. So, that's probably just the biggest change is that you can still go to pro day. You just, those meetings that you have with players after pro day in the film room at their colleges is something that's not happening. But, we've had, a lot of interaction with some of these players, whether it be John and I or our coaching staff or both. So, our scouting department is working hard, and we're making sure that we have every pro day covered with some people, and just excited to get to know these guys. You see what guys are like after the second and third interview, how they are at the first one, and maybe the comfort level that you start to have with a certain player, and how they may be on a daily basis once they're on your team.
Does anything change after the situation from last year's draft as far as, with Wilson? Does anything change, or do you look for different things like alerts or anything like that?
No, I think that, we have to continue to, to do our due diligence, and then, trust in our process. We're excited about the guys that we have from that draft coming back. And then, hopefully we'll be able to add to that, here this year.
John, go ahead.
Hi, Mike. Don't think we've talked to you since some of the coaching changes and so forth. I guess why make the decision this offseason to change Shane Bowen's title? And aside from his, not handling outside linebackers, how will his role be different this year?
Shane will be the defensive coordinator. Todd will be the offensive coordinator. Craig Ackerman will be the special teams coordinator. He'll be assisted special teams by Matt Edwards. And then we've hired a few guys on offense and moved Ryan Crow to outside linebackers.
Right, but what's going to be different about Shane's role outside of the title?
Shane will be the defensive coordinator, and Todd will be the offensive coordinator, and Craig will coordinate the special teams again this year.
Terry?
So just, John, I don't know, what coordinators' jobs are to coordinate the coaching staff, each week, how we prepare with the certain elements of situations, first and second down, 11 personnel, 12 personnel. What do we want to carry over from our base? How much can we handle game plan wise? What we want to do on third down, short yardage. So none of that will change. Those operations and those mechanics won't change. Same offensively with Todd and how we do things, and he'll be helped by Keith and in the run game and Tony and all those guys on offense.
Mike, we all kind of got a good chuckle out of the way you trolled Taylor with the photo of you taking the snap. But in all seriousness, how much more valuable is being able to get that hands-on work at these pro days with these guys because you're not having a lot of the face-to-face and interview processes that you normally would?
I don't think it would be any different than, we have a lot of, we have a lot of face-to-face as far as, with the Zoom meetings, and so not being able to sit down with them and maybe watch film at their pro day is probably really the only difference. But, the NFL is allowing you 5 Zoom meetings, per player. And so, we track those and we try to space them out with who gets what time. And, we have a process that we try to follow as far as who's meeting with them and how John and I are meeting with them. And, we've been, pretty booked up, and I feel comfortable, and we've got a lot of great efforts by, the people that are scheduling those meetings.
Joe Rockford.
All right, I'll follow up on Glennon here. So, Mike, is Shane, does he have the exact same job as last year, just the title's different, or is there anything different?
Shane's the defensive coordinator, Joe. I'm not sure, what we're looking for, but Shane's the defensive coordinator. Jim Haslett's the linebacker coach. Anthony Mitchett coaches corners and secondary, right on down the line. And that's our coaching staff.
So obviously, outside linebackers off the plate. I guess really the fundamental question is anything on the plate that wasn't on the plate.
Hopefully helping us win more football games. I mean, I'm not really sure. I think that we're all, as coaches, we're all trying to do whatever the team needs for us each and every day to help us win. And, we all have a role, but many times, our daily duties go outside the role. And if Shane can help a position or help anywhere, and like any other coach, I hope that no job is too small for us to try to do and try to help us win.
Paul? Buck?
Perfect.
Anticipation killing him. With the Zoom meetings, Mike, I guess I don't want it to sound like a dumb question, but like, what are the Zoom meetings?
You get a new job, Buck?
I am. I'm technically on the radio right now. So
That's
we're on the radio.
Fantastic, man. Congratulations.
I appreciate that. But what exactly do the Zoom meetings look like? Are there any more people from your guys' staff in the Zoom meetings than there maybe were last year? Kind of what does that look like from an outsider's perspective?
Yeah, so it's I think that changes, Buck, based on the player. Sometimes we'll have 9 guys on there. I think that by design, that's probably a little intimidating at first with our first interaction. And then I'd say that that's gotten pared down. I think that then we kind of branch out and say, okay, who needs to follow up with this guy? Is it a coaching staff, or does John and I feel comfortable, or does John and I, want to follow up with him and maybe with, Chicky, Giassi and Mitch, those people that are part of our player engagement and do a fantastic job. I think they're valuable. We enjoy, I at least, I don't want to speak for John, but I enjoy their perspective, on some of the things that they hear in those interviews. But I would say that as it goes along, they start to, just get watered down a little bit, not watered down, but I think that the attendance is probably less than what it is on the initial visit. And then they branch out to say, okay, position coach and a scout, we'll follow up for the third interview, or John and I may do the second one. And that's kind of how these have flowed so far.
Paul?
Hey, Mike.
Hey, buddy, did you get back on the internet?
Oh, yeah. Don't you worry.
I wasn't worrying, Paul.
Thanks for not worrying. Wondering about the love ball test, with it being seemingly your and John's number one thing, that you want to find guys who love ball, with Isaiah Wilson and Vic Beasley not having loved ball. Have you changed at all your test to monitor that? How confident are you that the guys you brought in so far love ball? How do you test the prospects that you're considering bringing in terms of their love of ball?
So that's such a long question. I'm just going to answer with a short answer that we're confident that they love ball.
Well, were you confident that Isaiah Wilson and Vic Beasley loved ball, and wouldn't that suggest a hole in the process?
We're comfortable that the guys that we brought in, we're excited about the additions to the team. Having met these guys and seen them, talked with them, we're excited about adding them to our football team and helping us win.
Steve Lyman?
Hey, Mike.
Hey, buddy.
I'm wondering how, I don't know what the NFL's even shared with you guys yet, but obviously this offseason and the calendar.
Not as much as you guys know.
Yeah, okay. Well, I guess just how do you plan at this point for what OTAs will look like, maybe what the preseason will look like, 17 games, and does the fact you sort of did something like this last year help you go through the uncertainty?
Yeah, I think that would be the biggest thing, is that we went through it last year and that we're prepared to start the off season virtually from a meeting perspective. we were going to be operating under those same kind of meeting rooms as we ended the season with, Steve. Miss Amy is getting us a new building. We're under construction over here. So those are going to be, refurbished and redone. And so we would be in the bubble anyways. And so I think that whenever the players are back, that's where those meetings will take place. It's probably going to be some restrictions on how many guys are going to be allowed in the weight room at a time, which we're able to set up 2 weight rooms like we did for the season. So we'll have to look at all that type of stuff as we start virtually, and then, what it looks like whenever they say that the players are able to come back to have in-person meetings, at some socially distanced level, but we're set up for all that in the bubble and kind of how we end it. So I think the biggest thing is that I don't really know. I don't have an answer to tell you, other than I think that the experience that we went through last year, hopefully, will help us, function, whether that be virtually or in some capacity in person.
Jared?
Yeah, Mike, I was wondering what made you so confident in promoting Shane after the defense had the year that it had last year?
Again, very confident and excited about our staff, Jared, about the things that we're going to do, about, a lot of things that we did. Again, I make decisions that I think are going to help the football team. And that's where we're at with the entire staff. Hopefully, there may be some more additions, to our staff as we work our way through the off season. But, our staff's pretty much in place and excited about it.
Luke?
Mike, why did you all make the decision to release Dennis? And then what is the plan to replace him at right tackle?
Well, Luke, we make a lot of decisions that we feel like are in the best interest of the team. I got a lot of respect for Dennis and what he's meant to this football team since I've been here. And, John traded for him, before I got here. He was a player rep. So I communicated a lot with him, and his ability to communicate with our players. So, decisions are always tough, when you're talking about players that, been here for a while, but, that's the decision that we went in.
Tron?
Yeah, Coach, when you're evaluating these prospects, how do you go about sorting through whether it be a guy at the same position that played in the SEC versus a guy in the MAC or something like that? Whereas, you see them play against other players who are likely going to play on Sundays, then see another guy that doesn't. How do you weigh that in that process?
Well, it's obvious that you have to do it, to some degree, because there's a lot of really good players that come from smaller conferences and smaller schools. And, I think what probably you have to be careful of is the stat production. Maybe the stat production would, maybe higher if it was glaring, coming from a smaller conference. But I think you still have to look at the skill set, play speed, based on the position. What are they able to, exhibit the skills necessary? What some of those testing numbers, look like, and really just overall, the instincts of the player. But I think that would be one thing. Maybe if it was a guy playing at a smaller school that had 20 sacks, what would that translate to, and what his skill set looks like. I think that would probably be the only thing you'd have to be careful
of. John Leonard?
Rick, I wanted to ask you on the wide receiver front. Does Josh Reynolds, sort of effectively replace Corey in your mind? Does he bring some of the same skills to the table? And also your thoughts on Nick Westbrook, maybe as far as potential that you began to see in him last year.
Yeah, we're excited to add Josh. It was somebody that we talked to, and he was in the process of making decisions, and talked to him about the opportunity, and have an opportunity just like most of those wide receivers to compete, to play, to understand our system, and I think Josh is versatile. I think he can play inside. I think he can play outside. He's really continued to build confidence as he's, going in now to, his 5th year, and worked well in the Rams system. Nick was a player that built confidence throughout the season on special teams. Was a very good special teams player by the end of the season. So very, very good blocker, and we'll need to continue to develop his route running and how he functions in our offense.
Terry.
Mike, obviously with the success that Derrick Henry's had over the last couple of years, he's at a very high level. What in your mind are the next steps for him as he goes forward into the prime of his career?
Just continue to be durable, continue to be productive, and be a great leader. Be available every day, which is what he does, and Derrick knows that he's doing the work now that gets him ready for a long season. But that's just we're excited obviously to have him back. I mean, Derrick is a large part of what we do.
Joe.
Yeah, Mike, on the corner group, how different, I guess, is it in your mind losing or moving on from Malcolm and Adoree' and even Kenny, I guess, in the secondary in terms of leadership? What have you lost there? Can Janoris Jenkins replace some of that? And then what is your vision for Christian Fulton moving forward? How important is this year for him?
Yeah, I mean, every year is important, for every pro. I mean, we want to try to prove our value each and every day, whether that be a coaching staff, an ops staff, players. We have to provide value, each and every day to the football team. And so Christian's, kind of, he got injured and didn't get a chance to, really compete there early on, and lost a lot of valuable reps. Got to play for us a little bit there late. And so this will be an important off season, for him, both physically and mentally, that we, and I think that by all accounts, I think he's ready to do that. And then there'll be some new faces in there, like a lot of other places, or a lot of other teams, and just like ours, that there'll be some new faces in the secondary, and we'll have to get the guys that we have, coached up and what we're trying to do this year.
Ben.
Hey, Mike, what does Kendall Lamb bring to the table for you guys? And then do you think he just sort of steps in for Dennis Kelly at that right tackle spot for you guys?
I'd say very few players. I mean, I don't know, Ben, I know you're new to the beat here, but I don't think we're going to have too many guys just step in. We'd like to, have guys earn positions, and try to make the competition there. So excited to bring Ty back, excited to add Kendall as guys that have played multiple positions, like their versatility in how they play those positions, can play either tackle. And certainly we've seen Ty play more than just the tackle position in the NFL. So, I would say two guys that can play both sides, and, as well as probably Ty kick inside and play, a guard spot.
Gentry.
Yeah. Hey, Mike, you've spoken before about valuing continuity, loyalty on your staff. And, with the process for the coordinators this time, was this a process where you spoke to people outside the organization, or was this more?
What are the rules, Gentry?
The rules from the league, you mean?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess, yeah. I mean, you obviously have to have a certain.
There you go, Gentry. Answered your own question.
Okay. All right. Let me rephrase. How seriously did you consider candidates from outside the organization?
Very seriously. We wouldn't interview, wouldn't talk to anybody without considering them. That's why you meet with people to get other perspective, other ideas. And again, I think that you've kind of misconstrued what I think is, as far as when you mentioned loyalty. I think that I asked the coaching staff to be loyal to our program, to our organization, and to our players. And if I have to make moves, I will make changes. But this can be a very disloyal business. Guys work the phones, guys are looking for the next opportunity, and everybody wants to move up. Everybody wants a larger role. And we just ask them to do the best job in the job that they have. And, I think good things will come of it. So to touch on your question, we did interview, quite a few people. And this was the direction that we ultimately went in.
Just got time for a couple more. Adam?
Yeah, Mike, when you win the division like you guys did, it'd be easy not to second guess anything that you did in that season, as successful as it was. What's your process for self-evaluation at the end of the year? How do you keep from second guessing any possible mistakes?
Well, I think that's, there's going to be 31 teams that are going to be, that all feel the same way, Adam, and that's just the ones that, didn't win the championship. They're just going to do it at different times. And yeah, we're proud of winning the division. We didn't win a playoff game. We didn't give ourselves a chance to go on and play in the tournament. The second guessing is something that, you have to be able to look at and say, okay, how would we prepare differently? How would we make decisions differently? But that's always going to be part of it. You're not afforded those opportunities in the moment. And I think it's about reflection, and maybe not about second guessing, but about reflection and how do we improve? How do we teach better? How do we coach better? How do we make sure that we're teaching players concepts, and so that they have grasp of the overall concept that's going in, and maybe not just their position, that we can improve.
Jim?
Mike, now that you're through, I guess, the big wave of free agency, what roles do you look for in the draft to fill out the roster, and you potentially looking for starters at certain positions?
We're just looking for good players, Jim. That's John and I's challenge, with the assistance of the scouting department, the assistance of the coaching staff, and everybody here. We're just trying to find players that'll come in and, have a competitive spirit, love football, be willing to learn and improve, and putting the team first, all those types of things that we think are important, and then being talented. So, and whether they're starters, I don't think that that's necessarily anything that, I would look for. I think that they, the expectations are that they come in and they help the team, and they add value each and every day. So.
All right, there you go. Head coach of the Titans, Mike Vrabel. First time he's talked to the media in a while. We wanted to carry that live. We will come back and discuss some things you heard on the other side of Darren, Daunic, and Chase. ESPN 102.5 The Game.
The NHL Trade Deadline is coming up April 12th.
I think you've got to sell off your assets that are on expiring contracts.
What will the Predators do before that date?
I think you could be presented with a really tough call if you're offered something great for Ekholm or something great for Granlund.
The only place to get coverage of your Predators at the trade deadline is Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, it's Jarrett from my official sportsbook app, the FanDuel Sportsbook app. It's title time, and FanDuel Sportsbook is hooking you up like a champion. They're celebrating the big game with 40-1 odds on either Gonzaga, Baylor. That's right. New users get 40-1 odds on either team to win the championship game. You can win $200 on a $5 bet. I felt really good about Gonzaga before the weekend, but I might have to go to Baylor. Who knows? You've been watching from the sidelines all tournament long. Now is the perfect time to get in on all the action. All you have to do is download the FanDuel Sportsbook app and make your first deposit to unlock exclusive 40-1 odds. The app is so easy to use, and when you win, you'll get paid in as little as 24 hours. Just sign up with the promo code JGM so they know that I sent you. That's FanDuel Sportsbook, promo code JGM. Must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. New users only. Must wager in designated offer market. $10 first deposit required. See full terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. For problem gambling support, call 1-800-889-9789.
In 1972, a Nashville family business story began when Bill and Beverly Finley founded Volunteer Hose and Gasket. 3 generations have grown the business into the local industry leader, supplying just about anything to anybody, from the largest of contractors to your neighbor that mows his own yard. Over 1 million items in stock: belts, belting accessories, gaskets, gauges, hose fittings, hydraulics, industrial hoses, lubricants, sealing products, toothing, fire protection, and more. All at volunteerhose.net. If Volunteer Hose and Gasket doesn't have it, then you probably don't need it. Call them at 615-242-0461.
Robbie and Rexro.
One of the better lines in the NHL.
Weekday morning 6 to 10.
You got a chance for a solid team.
Darren, Daunic, and Chase.
Yeah, you got to watch out for Forsberg.
Weekdays 10 to 2.
They all have to do what their coach has been asked.
Stillman and Company.
That's what we're going to see this year with the Predators schedule.
Afternoons from 2 to 6. And every moment of the action.
Oh, here's Forsberg getting the feed. Johansson, the rebound, he scores!
The best coverage of your Nashville Predators lives
on ESPN.
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
If you have a VA loan, you need to discover my new friends at Loan Pronto. Loan Pronto is changing everything about home loans here. Hey, it's Willie Daunic. Veterans who refinance their VA loan with Loan Pronto are shocked at how great the rates are and how much equity they have in their homes. Did you know that with a VA loan, you can take out as much as 90% of your home's value? That means you can get $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 cash out. Use that money to pay off credit cards, consolidate other loans, or start that home improvement project. Or even if you don't need cash out, you should call Loan Pronto and ask about their VA streamlined loans that require no income documentation, no appraisal, and no cash due at closing. And yes, you can still get VA loans in the twos. Call Loan Pronto now. 615-499-5780. 615-499-5780. LoanPronto.com. 499-5780.
Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781. Subject to lender approval. Not available on all loans.
The Predators official podcast with Brooks Bratton and Thomas Willis.
The Predators have the opportunity in their hands.
You're going to be able to test yourself against the best teams in the league.
Tune in Saturdays at 8 on Smashville's best sports talk.
ESPN.
102.5 The Game.
Hey, Nashville, this is Dan Lebitard. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
We're comfortable that the guys that we brought in, we're excited about the additions to the team. You know, having met these guys and seen them, talked with them, you know, we're excited about adding them to our football team and helping us win.
There you go. We played Mike Vrabel's press conference today. Like I said, first time he's talked to the media in a while as the draft gets a little bit closer at the end of the month. Back here on Darren, Daunic, and Chase. With that being said, Willie, I'll start with you. What stood out to you in the 25-plus minutes we heard from the head coach?
Well, it was typical Mike Vrabel, wasn't it? In so many ways.
I wouldn't expect anything else.
You know, for an off season
at this point.
For an off season, you know, where you could be a little bit more laid back, I think, in a setting like this. Same kind of stuff. You know, the Shane Bowen thing. Holy cow. I mean, he gave us something to talk about, didn't he? He could have just, like, the answer he ended with when he was asked the question for about a third or a fourth time, that was a real answer. But the first 2 or 3 times he was asked about it, my God, you'd have thought he hired his, you know, his third cousin, Vinny, or something, you know. An unqualified guy. Like, just stand by your guy. Just say, matter of factly, this is what we did. Like, very strange secrecy. And then finally, he got around to saying, yeah, he's not coaching the outside linebackers. Everybody's got to work outside of their duties. It was more of a real answer. But what was going on?
Why do you think he's chosen to
I don't know.
I mean, he just... Well, why is the Shane Bowen stuff so incredibly uncomfortable? Like, what are we missing? Why do we keep going down this rabbit hole about Shane Bowen? And he's still, I mean, I don't know if he's figured it out or not, but the media really isn't going to let this go until he's willing to stop being so secretive about this and keep acting like, why are we talking about, you know, a coordinator? He's acting like he's shocked that people want to know about a coordinator, right? Like, it's kind of a big deal. People
Right.
want to know about
Well, he was
defensive
asked
or
about
offensive
Shane Bowen,
coordinators.
and he proceeded to list the entire staff,
Right.
pretty much. Like, that wasn't the question. We know who the staff was. It just didn't need to turn into a thing. Today, of all day, we're talking more about the draft but he turned it into something that has everybody going, why so defensive? Why so weird about the answer? Like, the question was about Shane Bowen. He started listing the entire staff,
I
even
know.
guys on the offensive staff.
It's amazing.
Instead of just saying, hey, Shane's the guy, we felt like he was ready. Could have been a real simple 30-second answer.
Yeah,
Even the answer he ended up giving at the end was totally fine, but it was kind of a mystery.
Took a while to get there.
The thing that kills me is he gets pissed off when he gets asked about it. He
right off the bat.
He gets
Why? He knew it was coming.
pissed off every time it comes up. If you would just answer the damn question and not be a, trying to go through words, jerk about it, then it would go away. But I thought that every question that came up on that subject was valid, was absolutely valid. Why do you have faith in Shane Bowen to run the defense when the defense wasn't very good last year and supposedly he was running the defense?
But the point is, that question's coming. Answer it one time. There were 50 things that were asked about, and there could have been another 50, right? Because it's the first time he's talked in a long time. But people are going to continue to go at that if your answer is not satisfactory, which is the first answer was the first and second answers were kind of non-answers, right? So it has everybody going, well, we got to get more than that.
It was the same thing. It was the same thing that we talked about last year. So let me go back on something you just said, Chase. You believe Shane Bowen was running the defense last year? I'm asking you, not what Mike Vrabel has said. I'm asking.
Do I
think Shane
believe
Bowen
that?
was running the defense last year?
Do I believe that? No, but I was going on what he said. So therefore, it's even more valid to ask him that question.
By the way, it took all the way till the season was over for him to first time he just all of a sudden decided to come out and plop this in Shane Bowen's lap, like everybody's lap.
Throw him under the bus.
Just so you know, I know we're going to keep talking about this defense now that the season is over. Shane Bowen was the guy all along. I know I refuse to ever say that, but I'm telling you now, he was the guy. And it's like, oh, well, that's a convenient way to plop it in his lap. I mean, I don't believe for a minute Shane Bowen was running the defense and Mike Vrabel was just checking in. I don't believe that for a minute.
No,
that's just me.
I'm with you. I think it was more Vrabel, but he did throw Shane under the bus by doing that in the last press conference, saying, Shane ran called the plays, he ran the meetings, all that stuff.
Let me also ask another one. I'm just asking. I'm just thinking.
Questions with Darren.
Yeah, just the thought bubbles were, I'm not sure I exactly buy that. I have no proof, obviously, just gut feeling. There towards the end, Mike Vrabel said that they interviewed, the word was quite a few outside candidates for those coordinator positions. And, after interviewing quite a few, air quotes, outside candidates, chose to just keep it in-house. Mm-hmm. Everybody believe that they interviewed quite a few outside candidates?
Well, I think the original version of the question is basically by the process of the league, you have to interview some outside candidates.
Right. You have to, exactly.
But I don't have any problem with the way they did that. I think it was pretty, at least in my mind, I thought all along that that's who he wanted to have as the defensive coordinator. As far as offensive coordinator, I don't know. He knows that better than us, but I think he's always shown that there are guys he identifies that he thinks are the right fit. He's loyal to those guys. He believes in them, and he would rather promote from within than go outside. And at the same time, I thought he gave a very good answer to that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In that, hey, you have to, you want outside influence. You want to try to compare and make sure that hopefully that reinforces your belief if all along you've felt strongly about a candidate. I didn't have any problem with
I
that
just
answer.
chuckled because, look, he's got to answer it that way. I understand, right, by league protocols. He has to answer that way. He can't say, no. I wasn't going to listen. I'm not going to talk to anybody else. I already knew we were going to. Like, he can't say that, right?
Sure.
I mean, they have protocols they have to go through. So I understand it. I kind of chuckled. Just, him basically going, we have to interview people, right? And it's no different. Look, this is any workplace, right? Even if you're going to be in-house, pick a profession, you still have to put it out there publicly. We have an opening.
Right. It's called EEO.
Thank you.
That's
Well,
how
look,
it works. But
I think it's been clear for a long time he believes in Shane Bowen.
I just don't know why he's so uncomfortable with it.
He could have been.
I'm okay with
that's the thing.
if he believes in him, but why is he so uncomfortable talking about it?
Just be the head coach.
If he could have
say,
given,
this is my guy.
He could have given a very bland 30 to 45 second answer and not had everybody, go back through all of that stuff. But the defensiveness, the standoffishness, a little bit tone that he gives has everybody going, oh, here we go again. What? Why? There was no reason for that. Like,
there's nothing standoffish
you
about it.
changed all of these players. There's so many things going on with the team, which are really interesting, right? And all of it will have so much to do with a team that's trying to get better, having to turn over a decent part of the roster. There's some. I thought his answer was really good about Dennis Kelly, right? He kind of understood. At first, he started down the road of, well, we made a lot of changes, or know, but then he kind of said, yeah, Dennis is different, he's basically said, I love Dennis Kelly, right? It was hard. It's hard to get rid of guys like that, and Kenny Vaccaro and Malcolm Butler. Those are tough choices, but you just show a little human side, you end up saying, okay, this guy's we know he's a good coach. It's just, I would love to just get him to open up a little bit more and understand the how these things work. He could own the Nashville media if he wanted to.
Yeah,
right?
here's
but I think you're asking him to be something he's not. Because
right,
quite honestly, when I hear
it doesn't
that,
have it in him. You're right.
When he does what you described it perfectly. And Willie, the reason I bring this up is because what I think when I hear that, I feel like he's got an internal Mike Vrabel that grabs him and says, no, stop it. Get back on. No, don't answer that way. And he the internal Mike Vrabel grabs him and shakes him a little bit. And then he veers back on the path and he goes down the answer he doesn't want to give. Right.
Right.
Because like you said, he has the ability to do it. I don't understand, why coaches are like that. I will never understand it. But he doesn't really want to answer it that way. But to his credit, he does. Like when I feel like that internal Mike Vrabel grabs him and gives him a shake, and he goes where he doesn't want. Because I think he would love to answer them the way he wants to answer them, like all the time.
Yeah,
he would love to do that. But at least good for him that he changes that. It's it goes back to Peter Laviolette. I don't understand why he chose to do certain things the way that he did, because he had the ability, right? He had the ability to answer things. He was so good when he wanted to, when he was, I don't know what it took to get to that stage. Maybe it's before the season begins. And then when he gets to a certain mode, like he just can't get out of it. Right. And I've never understood that, why coaches go down this certain way, and even though they have the ability to act differently, they just won't do it, or they'll just do it part-time.
Here's the bottom line. If this all works, if they go out and they win the division again and they make a deep playoff run, that doesn't necessarily mean that they win the Super Bowl, but they do like they did a few years ago. They go to the AFC Championship game, and that's a successful season. Then he can turn and look and go, see, I knew what I was doing. All right. You questioned this. You kept bringing this up, titles, going outside, staying inside. I'm the head coach. I made the decision, and look what happened. But if it doesn't,
but why can't he just
that's
do that
true,
from
true
the
of any
get-go?
coach,
Right. I mean that's how hard is it to do that? But I'm saying, why not just come
the
out?
way he does things.
If that's the way you feel, if you believe, look, there's nobody that knows these people better than him. We don't know these coaches better than him. He's around them. That's his staff. So I don't I don't have a problem with that. I just don't understand why he will not come out and just make it easy.
Right.
To talk about the process.
It's like it's almost become amusing.
him.
It's become amusing for us, especially because our show is middle of the day. Most of their press conferences are during our show. And so it's just become an amusement for us in some ways, just the way his tone is several times. I've never questioned whether he knows what he's doing. I just find it amusing sometimes that he makes it harder on himself. I don't question the move for Shane Bowen. I know you guys do.
Well,
but I'm just saying he's made his decision. It doesn't surprise me. He's loyal to a guy that he believes in. They've won a lot of games, so I don't question that he knows what he's doing. But you make tough choices when you're the head coach of a team. This was a tough choice, and he's sticking to his guns. If it doesn't work, we'll know why. But every coach has strengths and weaknesses. Maybe his loyalty could be a strength and a weakness, right? Your greatest strength can be your greatest weakness.
Well,
the loyalty, I think, serves him well in a lot of places. It may not serve him well long-term with this. It might serve him really well if all of a sudden these changes they've made on defense mean better results.
Let's go back to something else, though, that we haven't really brought up. Loyalty, yes, he is loyal to a fault sometimes. But it also goes back to the question, Darren, that you asked. Do we really believe that Shane Bowen was truly running everything last year? Do we truly believe that that's going to be the case this year? Because let's think about our conversation with Wesley Woodyard. Let's think about Dean Pease being in Atlanta and not coming back here.
Yep.
Is he going to change on that front? Is he going to get out of the way and let these guys do their job? Or is he going to continue to be a little too hands-on and slow things down? Because the truth of it is, we can sit here and say, yeah, the defense sucked last year. The defense was not very good. Now, some of that is going to, if Shane Bowen's the one that truly was running it, then yeah, that's going to go on him. But I think we all know that Vrabel was very much involved. So was it that involvement that made it not be very good? If there's been a meeting with him and John, or if he's finally realized, I need to back off a little bit and let Shane do his thing, and then all of a sudden the defense looks good, granted with new pieces that they've added, then okay. But what's truly going to happen and what truly was happening before?
Well, the defense is going to look a lot different because there's a lot of new players on there. There will be a lot of new players on there. I mean, just to start doing the math, you take away Daquan Jones, Malcolm Butler, Kenny Vaccaro, Adoree Jackson. You're just going right down the list. There's going to be several new players in the mix. So that alone is going to change some things. And the whole dynamic, the Wesley Woodyard thing is interesting because Wesley went everywhere with his message. But it's one guy's opinion. It's probably shared by some, right? He's basing this on players he's talked to and his own experience. But as I said at the time, every coach, I don't know that any coach is viewed perfectly. Like, I think if you press Wesley Woodyard, he'd say some good things he'd say some strengths about Mike Vrabel, right?
Sure.
I think he's been around long enough to know the guy's not an idiot, right? They won a lot of games. He's pointing out things that he thinks are flawed, but I don't think that makes Mike Vrabel unlike any coach that's out there. There's things you love about your coach. There's things that maybe you think, well, maybe that I wish he would do things differently, but he's human, right? You take, does the good outweigh the bad? I think by far.
We will come back and put a bow on the third hour. Casey Alexander will start our final hour of the program. We'll talk about tonight's national championship game. More of Darren, Daunic, and Chase next.
Take us wherever you may go.
There's going to be a whole lot of work going on.
Tune us in anywhere, anytime.
I think he has some big play in him.
Just search the game Nashville in your app store and download today. And keep it locked on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
1025 The Game.
It's title time. Joe Rexrode here to let you know FanDuel Sportsbook is hooking you up like a champion. They are celebrating the big game with 40-1 odds on either Gonzaga or Baylor. That's right. New users get 41 odds on either team to win tonight's championship game, which means you can win $200 on a $5 bet. Baylor has the guards to hang with Gonzaga, but do they have someone to deal with Drew Timme? If you've been watching this
tournament from the sidelines, now is the perfect time to get in on the action. It's a tough call. Gonzaga may be one of the best teams ever, but Baylor looks awfully good. This is a game we've been waiting for, and all you have to do is download the FanDuel Sportsbook app, make your first deposit, and unlock the exclusive 40-1 odds. This app is so easy to use. Take it from me. And when you win, you'll get paid in as little as 24 hours. So sign up with promo code Joe102 so they know I sent you. That's FanDuel Sportsbook, promo code Joe102 for the big game. Must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. New users only. Must wager in designated offer market. $10 first deposit required. See full terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. For problem gambling support, call 800-889-9789.
Last year, Nashville Soccer Club defied the odds.
This is brilliant. This is sensational. This is Nashville SC dumping Toronto out of the playoffs.
Now it's time to keep building. It's soccer season in Tennessee, and it's time to get in. Don't miss the 2021 season opener Saturday, April 17th at 7:30 p.m. as Nashville SC takes on FC Cincinnati at home. Get in with season tickets on sale now at NashvilleSC.com.
Looking for a big diamond? Genesis Diamonds introduces our Elite Collection. These are large, rare diamonds in the top 1% of the world. 3 carat, 4 carat, 5 carat, up to 10 carat precious diamonds for the most discriminating buyers who appreciate quality. Genesis owners travel worldwide, tapping a vast network of diamond cutters, carefully hand-selecting each of these remarkable diamonds. We invite you to view this premium collection of GIA-certified diamonds, rounds, cushion cuts, emerald cuts, even fancy colored diamonds in size and quality never before seen here. And to showcase these exquisite stones, only Genesis has the finest handcrafted rings from all the world-class designers. If this is the year you're upgrading her original diamond, or you just want to go big for the first time, no need to travel to New York or Los Angeles or Antwerp. Genesis Diamonds' elite collection of large, precious diamonds is here in Nashville. Genesis Diamonds, voted year after year best jewelry store and best place to buy an engagement ring. Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Every sports fan knows that game day is not complete without a tailgate experience. With social distancing in place, 102.5 The Game and T-Mobile want to help you continue the tradition with a hockey homegating party. Listen weekdays for the keyword to text and win. Each week, we'll choose one lucky hockey fan to win the T-Mobile Hockey Homegating Experience, complete with food, dessert from Nothing Bundt Cake, Dos Equis beer, and a prize pack from T-Mobile. You're bound to have the best homegate in the neighborhood. Happy homegating from 102.5 The Game and T-Mobile.
Pro Golf is back in Nashville. Mark your calendar for the Simmons Bank Open May 6th through the 9th. You can see the next wave of PGA Tour stars, plus there'll be fun music events and amazing food. Be a volunteer and get a behind-the-scenes look at the daily operation of a PGA Tour event. To volunteer or to purchase tickets, go to SimmonsBankOpen.com. All military veterans, first responders, and healthcare workers will be admitted free. The Simmons Bank Open helps raise funds for the Snedeker Foundation. Go to SimmonsBankOpen.com for tickets and event information.
Robbie Stanley.
It's just a really bad look when it's your football team that's really the ones being selfish here.
Joe Rexrode.
Brady skirting the rules? No. Shocked face, clutch my pearls.
Get your morning started with Robbie and Rexrode every weekday from 6 to 10 on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app. If you've missed any of today's show, just search Darren, Daunic, and Chase on Apple, Spotify, or on your favorite podcast platform.
Hey, Preds fans, don't forget, Smashville Live this Wednesday from 6 until 7 o'clock. You can watch it. We've got many platforms. You can, of course, listen right here on ESPN 102.5 The Game. Also, The Game has Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and TheGameNashville.com. So a lot of platforms. Smashville Live every week is brought to you by New Amsterdam Vodka, Spring Hill Heating and Cooling, and Red Spirits and Wine in Bellevue. You can also go back or listen or view past shows by going to TheGameNashville.com/Smashville Live. Back here on Darren, Daunic, and Chase. Anything else stand out from Mike Vrabel's press conference?
Well, there's always the comedic relief that we get from some questions that are worded a certain way, and of course, Mike Vrabel tends to treat some media people different than others. But
what would ever give you that idea?
Why? What are you talking about?
But I was amused by the whole, the so and so love ball. Like we had some some funny texts, Are you going to draft people who have, from Ball State, or, Jimmy Love Ball or Lovey Ball, all these guys who love ball.
Dave Ball loved
Dave Ball. Well, I looked up in the
He
football
loved Ball.
register. Dave Ball is not the only Ball that played NFL football. There was Jerry Ball.
Name that ball.
Jerry Ball. Name that ball. Jerry Ball, nose tackle, 13-year guy, played a long time for the Lions.
Yep. Remember him well.
Defensive back Alan Ball from your Dallas Cowboys.
Don't remember him.
Chase McCabe. Starter for a couple years.
Yeah.
You remember him, Chase?
No.
Yeah. Okay. Why'd you say yeah? I was like, you don't remember that guy.
He played a bunch of games for the
make
Cowboys.
me look smarter. Why you don't have to call me
2010 or something? Look him up. Look him up. He loved ball. He loved ball.
He did. Supposedly.
There was Monty Ball.
Allegedly.
Running back out of Wisconsin.
Yep.
Played briefly for the Broncos a couple years.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was
I do remember
another
him.
running back.
He
Lance
was supposed
Ball.
to be the starter, by the way, and he kept getting beat out.
Lance Ball, also for the Broncos for a while. And the team ball is coached by Herman Ball, who coached the Redskins in 1949, 50, and 51 to a record of 4-16.
You remember him, Chase?
No, I don't.
You guys are also forgetting former Georgia Tech quarterback Reggie Ball.
Reggie Ball. Who could forget?
Reggie Ball. I don't think he played in the NFL.
I don't think so. Maybe a
Lions practice
guy?
squad is what I'm seeing here. Originally signed by the Detroit Lions as an undrafted free agent in 2007.
But all of these guys love ball. But this is the point I think is interesting. Because again, you got a very defensive answer from Mike Vrabel, and I don't blame him. Right? They're embarrassed. They hate that the Isaiah Wilson thing happened the way it did, and obviously, the signing last year, the $9 million whiff on the defensive end, there were some questions, right? But a lot of times, you've got to have the assumption that everybody playing in the NFL loves to play. There are guys that love to play more than others, right? I found that out a lot in the minor leagues, right? When you're on the bus rides and you're playing at these terrible fields sometimes, and you play 10, 12 straight nights, and you're not eating very well, I mean, you really find out just how much you love to play, right? You're put in situations, and that's a little bit how the minor leagues have worked in baseball. They weed out the people who don't love to play, right? But also, there are some that don't love to play as much, but they're so talented, they stay in there, right? They're kept around even though, okay, listen, we know this guy's not motivated like this other guy over here, but he's just better. He makes plays. That's the essence. It's not a question of whether you can judge everybody loves the ball, loves to play ball the same. That's just not how it works, right? There's a sliding scale, just like in our business, right? You can tell there's people that are a little bit more on the talented side, and there's people a little bit more on the hardworking side, right? The blend of both, you get greatness, right? But there's some that are a little bit better in one category over another. True?
Yeah. And some that just want it all handed to them right out of the gates.
100%.
Earn it. Just
100%.
like some of the guys you're talking about in the minors, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, well, I'm interested in playing in the bigs, but I'm not really interested in playing these lower levels. Well,
yeah, like I don't want to do the work.
I think they knew Vic, I think they knew Vic Beasley. I think they knew Vic Beasley had question marks, but I think they thought he was talented enough that we'll get the best out of him. We believe in ourselves, right? It wasn't a question of, hey, this guy doesn't love ball, but we're going to pick him up anyway. I just don't think it comes down to that sometimes. It's a scale of, what do we think this guy has to offer? Now, Isaiah Wilson, I think they just got fooled, right? I think they just messed that one up. They didn't see that one coming, but they do have a lot of guys on their team that do love to play, right? I think the thing is overblown a little bit.
I think that, quite honestly, they know. I don't know what you think Mike Vrabel is going to say. At that, I mean, you don't think they don't know that those were big swings and whiffs? I mean, huge. I mean, may go down the one may go down as the worst ever. I mean, so what do you want him to say? Now we're just going to, we'll just keep the same approach and hope. I mean, he's going to say, we believe in what we believe in what we're doing. We believe in the process. We feel like we've got guys that want to play ball. I mean, what do you want him to say?
But that's every. To my point is that's
like we
every
have scrapped
team,
everything because
every
we missed.
sport, even non-sports, even non-sports. Darren, you coach your son's team. They're 9-year-olds, and you see it. I'm sure, right? You see some guys who love to play.
Absolutely.
Maybe they may not be the best people on the team, but they love to be out there. They might make mistakes, but they just keep coming back. You might see another kid on your team that is a lot more talented,
doesn't work near as hard,
but maybe they don't work as hard.
That's
right. This happens everywhere. This is society.
Does. Yep, 100%. All right, we'll come back. We'll start the final hour with Belmont basketball coach Casey Alexander. Right now, everybody knows the big tournament is starting this week. Yeah, golfers, that get you excited down in Augusta, Georgia. They're going to compete for that green jacket. And DraftKings, America's top-rated sportsbook app, is putting you the middle of all that action by giving you a shot to land one right on the green, just like they're going to try to do starting on Thursday. And yep, this week DraftKings is going to give 100-1 odds on a golfer of your choice, and all they have to do is finish in the top 10, and if they do so, you win. It's that easy. Turn $1 into $100 by just picking a golfer this weekend that'll finish in the top 10, and you get $100. 100-1 odds doesn't come around often, so go in there and sign up right now, DraftKings Sportsbook, and get in all the action and choose your golfer before the tournament tees off Thursday morning. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable, so you can deposit and withdraw your funds at your convenience. All you have to do is download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app right now, and on that app, then use the promo code 1025GAME. And when you sign up, turn $1 into $100. Just choose a golfer to finish in the top 10, and if they do so, you win $100. This is for a limited time. It's only a DraftKings Sportsbook. Remember, use that code 1025GAME. You must be 21 years of age or older. Tennessee only. Restrictions do apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. If you're someone you know has a gambling problem and needs help, call or text the Tennessee Red Line, 1-800-889-9789.
This is Victor Arvidsson, and this is Smashville.
Speeding in right wing side. The shot, he scores! Victor Arvidsson on the power play.
You're listening to the flagship of Nashville Predators Radio Network, ESPN 1025 The Game.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
I'm Fox 17 News Code Red meteorologist Dan Guthrie. 70s back in the forecast for us. Afternoon high, 78 degrees. Under mostly sunny skies. 80s potentially for Tuesday. Storms return midweek.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Free beer. Do we have your attention now? Because every Friday, Robbie and Rexroad, Darren, Daunic, and Chase, and Stillman and Company will be giving away a $25 gift card during their show to Bavarian Beer House, Nashville's authentic Munich-style beer house at Opry Mills Mall.
What's better than watching a Preds game live? Watching a Preds game live from a suite with your friends. Thanks to Kroger and Dr. Pepper, you could win that awesome experience. How do you enter? Well, it's simple. Visit your local Middle Tennessee Kroger. Take a picture with the Dr. Pepper and the Preds reusable grocery bag. Post it to social media tagging the Preds, Kroger, and Dr. Pepper. Lucky winners will be chosen at random to win a suite for an upcoming game. All proceeds of the Preds reusable bag benefit Vanderbilt Children's Hospital. So head to your local Kroger and pick up a bag today. No purchase or payment is necessary to enter or win. A purchase or payment will not increase your chances of winning. Odds of winning will depend on the total number of eligible entries received for the applicable sweepstakes or promotion. Void where prohibited by law.
Best sports talk, locally owned, home of our Nashville Predators. WPRT FM Pegram, 97.5 Murfreesboro, WBUZ HD2 Laverne, online at theGameNashville.com. We are
ESPN
1025 The Game. Live from the Wholesale Link Studios, powered by RumbleOn.com. It's time for Darren, Daunic, and Chase. With hosts Darren McFarland, Willie Daunic, and Chase McCabe. On Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
1025 The Game.
Final hour, Darren, Daunic, and Chase here on ESPN 102.5 The Game. Hope everybody's enjoying this beautiful weather on this Monday. Got to get close to pushing to 80 degrees today and a good portion of this week. So enjoy the warmer temperatures. Finally, hopefully, we'll get another great basketball game tonight for the national championship in Indianapolis. So with that being said, let's head over to the campus of Belmont. Let's bring in Bruins head coach Casey Alexander. He's on the line with us. Casey, what's up?
Hey, guys. How are you?
Did you enjoy Saturday night's game, the nightcap?
I was going to say the second one, yes. It's pretty hard not to enjoy two very different games.
Two totally different games. That was one of the better college basketball games I think a lot of us have seen in a long time. Take us through. You watch it differently than us. What is watching a college basketball game, especially at this level, like through your eyes? Are you just constantly evaluating everything?
I mean, I'm definitely watching as a fan, but I can't help but watch, each possession like a coach. What are they doing? Why do they do it? How did they defend it? Those kinds of things. But I'm not watching it necessarily to try to write things down and implement anything, but I watch it with a little bit different lens probably than a lot of people do.
You guys like to get up and down the court. You like to put a lot of points on the scoreboard. So does Gonzaga. They've done it all year. When you average 91 points a game, I mean, there you go. It's foolproof. They're the best offense in the country. What makes their offense so good? Why have they been able to put – I mean, they've had many, many games in the regular season where they had over 100 points. Well, why has it worked so well for them? What do you see?
Yeah, well, there's a couple of things. One is the very obvious. They have a lot of really good offensive players.
They do.
And two, they're tough to scout. I mean, modern day basketball is a lot about setting up and running a play to get this guy the ball in this position and, try to play mismatch basketball, that kind of thing. But Gonzaga is free flowing. They're great in transition. Get a lot of easy baskets in transition. And then they've got really talented players. I mean, you got a guy like Suggs who, again, transition is his strength, but a big guard that can make a lot happen. You've got Crispert, who's their best player all year, and then you've got Timmy, who's great inside. You've got Nembhard, who leads them in minutes and has the ball in his hands a lot. So just so much versatility makes them really hard to guard.
So many mid-major schools. Belmont's no different. Everybody wants to be that model of Gonzaga, right? Everybody's saying, why not us? I mean, they've done it. Why can't we do it? Easier said than done. How has Mark Few, and by the way, Suggs, that's, I believe, the first 5-star they've ever had. It just tells you how far they've come along and how much winning they've done, and it's happened now. What has Mark Few been able to do? How has he been able to keep this program at this level where, like I said, there's so many mid-major schools that are trying to be that exact model, but it's not easy to pull off.
No, it's not at all. And the longevity of it all is just what's so impressive about the whole thing. I mean, when people say, hey, why can't we be the next Gonzaga? I mean, they're talking about the Gonzaga from 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And all they've done since that time 20 years ago is continue to elevate their program. And they did it for a long time. They've always, Few being there for the whole time is a big part of it. The continuity and cohesiveness within the staff is a big part of it. But then, they kind of made their biggest leap, in my opinion, in the last 10 years, just by getting a lot of really high level transfers. But now they're getting high level seniors. And so they're in a place, they're literally one of the elite programs in the country year after year. I mean, what do they have? Like 20 straight NCAA tournament appearances and maybe 6 straight Sweet 16s. And this is their second championship game in 5 or 6 years. So you got to give them credit.
What did you see? What was Mick Cronin and the Bruins able to do to make this a fantastic game where I would say, the line was 14. A lot of people are like, man, that's probably a little bit too low. Everybody just assumed this was going to be yet again another 20-point victory for Gonzaga. And, it wasn't going to be a game. Probably everybody thought it was going to be just like, I think that it was the roles flopped, right? I think everybody kind of pointed at, well, the Houston-Baylor game is the one that's got the best chance to be exciting, and the other one's probably going to be more of a blowout. What did UCLA do to have them play the game that they did and have so much success?
Yeah, they maxed out is what they did. Obviously they had already won whatever it was, 5 tournament games, and a couple of those in overtime. And so they'd found a way to win games, but they hadn't done any of it, in particularly impressive fashion. But then they show up the other night, and then offensively they're just off the charts good. They capitalized at the end of so many shot clocks. In the first half, a lot it was Tiger Campbell, 2 or 3 or 4 times. He's finishing off a possession with a basket, and then Riley made all of his 15-footers that gave them big possessions. And so, it's just one of those things where in a 40-minute game, when you can just build some momentum and some confidence and find a way to stay in it, then it becomes, it kind of creates a life of its own. There are 19 lead changes in that game. The largest margin of the game was 7 points. And so they were right there the whole time.
Talking to Casey Alexander, head coach for Belmont. Casey, we've had some fun conversations in the past. We both played for coaches that had every little detail down for every situation that comes up late in the game. I had this asked to me at the end of the game because it was interesting. Both teams approached it the same way, but particularly UCLA at the end of regulation. They got a rebound, and they had a chance to go for the win. They had about 10 or 12 seconds left, if I recall, and no timeout called, right? They put the ball in the hands of their hottest player, Ju Zhang, and he said, go get it. Go win the game for us. And, of course, he got a little out of control, and he gives up the charge, and the game goes to overtime. Tell us what your mindset is at the end of a game, whether to call timeout, set up a play, let the defense set up, or just play it out the way UCLA did.
Yeah, we're going to play it out every time. I mean, the only exception would be if something really unusual happens where we're out of sync. Maybe we can't get the ball inbounds, to the right guy, or maybe we fumble it in the backcourt or something like that, and something takes us out of rhythm where I feel like our chances are going to be better to call timeout and try it that way. But, that is defensively, it's so much more difficult to guard full court with very little time when you can't foul and that offensive guy's going full speed straight ahead. It's really hard to defend that action. So I would much prefer to put our offensive guy in let him be aggressive than I would let the defense get set and talk about what we might do and how they're going to defend it, that sort of thing. But, it's definitely one of those things where coaches are all over the map. You can watch some teams play and they're going to call timeout 3 straight possessions because they're important possessions, and then you watch others where they don't ever call it. So just personal preference.
What the last shot, I thought about Mick Cronin, what it must feel like. If you play basketball long enough or you watch basketball long enough, you're going to be on both sides of that at some point. But, there's just no way you can defend the shot that Suggs hit there at the end. But that's got to be the toughest feeling in basketball, right? When you lose on a play like that.
Yeah, it's miserable. And if you're if you're the defensive coach at that point in time, I mean, every fiber in your being says that shot's going to go in when he releases it. I mean, you just
right.
You just feel like, yeah, it's good. And then it's a huge relief when it doesn't go in. So tough moment right there. There's nothing, the buzzer beater in basketball is a phenomenal, split second happening that we all kind of learn to live and die with.
Give me your thought on the matchup tonight. It's just amazing to think. It's been a long, long time. We've never seen a team go wire to wire without losing. But here we go. Gonzaga's 1 game away, but Baylor might be the next best team, really, on paper. The talent that Baylor, the speed that Baylor plays at, I think it's a heck of a matchup. But what are your thoughts?
I totally agree. I mean, I do think these are the 2 best teams. I think without that 3-week pause that Baylor had mid-season, that it would be obvious that these are the best 2 teams. And it took them a little while to rebound from that, but I think they're clearly back to where they were prior to the pause. They don't get enough credit for their offense. I mean, this is the number 1 and the number 2 offensive teams in the country. And, Gonzaga does it with transition. Gonzaga is the number 1 team as far as efficiency goes from inside the 3-point line. And Baylor's the number 1 team from outside the 3-point line. They got the best percentage in the country at 41%, I think, as a team, and they make maybe 11 a game or something like that. So 2 really high-powered offenses. The thing that, UCLA taught us that Gonzaga can be beaten. I think before that, everybody was wondering can anybody beat them? And even though UCLA didn't win, they showed us that it could happen. And then I believe with Baylor, having so much more depth and talent, actually, that it's hard to say it could be a better game than the other day, but I wouldn't be surprised.
I want to ask you about one more dynamic that we see so much now, every game, and in this tournament, it really comes out, and that's the whole way that the block charge thing has evolved, and now also with the Euro step, right? I think the two are sort of married together in some ways. I think in my entire time playing, I don't know if I ever played in a game where a guy really did the Euro step. I don't remember anybody until the Manu Ginobili's that really came into the league, and then now it's tracked down where everybody's doing that. And now you got the semicircle in there, you got the flop factor in there, but now you got so many plays around the basket where the refs got to make a tough call, right? And guys are driving from further out because the line's further out. But is there anything we do? I mean, I love the way the game is going now. They've really worked hard to open up the game, but I think as a result, we're still seeing a heck of a lot of collisions near the rim.
Yeah, I totally agree. And the block charge, entities getting a bad rap. A lot of people that just want to eliminate it completely from the game. I think we need it, but I think there's probably a little bit too much of a reward. Too many 50-50 calls that go by the way of the charge. When they probably should be a block, unless that official is just absolutely certain that a charge was warranted. The semicircle was put in for good reason. It helped clean things up. Eliminated some collisions, mid-air collisions, around the rim. But at the same time, it gave the officials one more element to worry about. Okay, are their feet in the circle? Are they out of the circle? Was it a block? Was it a charge? So there's just a lot for them to consider. And until you officiated at any level, you just have no idea how difficult it is. Coaches don't like it. We all lose our minds in games, but it's a miserable assignment for those guys to get those calls right.
Do you think we need to redefine or more clearly define what's legal and what's not in terms of the Euro step? It seems like now guys they're coming up, they're innovating a little bit, and they're almost coming up with 3 steps in a lot of ways.
Yeah, it's very difficult, and for that reason, that's the reason why the NBA allows such flexibility. They just kind of take that element out of it, and it feels like the NBA travels every time, but by their rules, most of them are not travels. And so, yeah, I agree. And that is one more element. So now you've got a lot of those collisions that aren't, like chest to chest, you're getting side collisions and so with the defense in legal guarding position and that whole thing. I don't think anybody even knows anymore. Like, do you have to be in front of the guy? Can you be sliding? Can you do this? It's just totally a feel by the officials, in my opinion.
We're talking to Casey Alexander, Belmont's basketball coach, here with us, and you've had some time now as the tournament has gone on, and I know we've talked about it quite a bit on our show about the postseason, and unfortunately you guys not being able to participate in that, whether it's the tournament or the NIT. You've had some time to reflect on that and the season as a whole. So how are you feeling after I guess a few weeks of everything?
Well, life's coming back in order a little bit. It was certainly disappointed, and but at the same time, if you'd told me in August, September, October, November that we were going to play 30 games and we were going to be 26-4 and we were going to win 30 straight conference games and 21 in a row this year and all the others receive top 25 votes for 7 or 8 straight weeks, I would have said I'll take it. And then we'll worry about postseason when we get there. We didn't get our ultimate goal of playing in the NCAA tournament, but we had a great year. Got a great group of guys to coach. Literally didn't have a senior on the team, so we'll walk in the next year with some expectations and count our blessings and move on.
I know I'm asking this, to a coach that your team won the regular season in the OVC and you didn't get to play in the tournament, but I've looked at it as it's harder to win the regular season than it is the tournament, because you gotta have that success throughout the entire season. And then if you go into a tournament, you can have a team get hot at the right time and they win the weekend. So when evaluating whether a team should get in or not, do you think that more of an emphasis should be put on winning the regular season?
Well, I agree with you in the sense that it is definitely more difficult to win a regular season than it is, a 3 or 4 game tournament. I don't even think that's debatable. And the other truth is that, every conference decides who they want to send to the NCAA tournament. And every conference has decided, well, we're going to have a tournament. We're going to have a conference tournament and let them choose that winner. The Ivy League was the last holdout. They didn't have their postseason conference tournament until just a couple of years ago. So they always sent their regular season champion. So that's really the OVC we get that choice. Everybody gets that choice, and we all choose to play the tournament. It's not so much the committee; it's what the league decides and who our automatic representative is going to be. And in our case, it's the OVC tournament champion winner.
What did it mean to you, though, to hear, whether it was media members or just fans or whatever, just with their support of you and the program? And even though that didn't make the pain go away, it didn't necessarily make it feel better, but how much did that mean to you, Go?
Yeah, I mean, it meant a lot. You know, we worked really hard to represent Belmont well and to be, you know, a team that people can pull for. You know, I think over the years, more and more people in Nashville have given respect to our program and understand what we've accomplished. And, you know, that's kind of what our purpose is on this campus is to bring people into the fold. And so the more people that notice and care and like it and support us, the better.
So
including the media, including you guys.
Absolutely. So what does the future look like for the Belmont Bruins as now you're in the off season, obviously one more game in the college basketball season, and then hopefully next year things are back to normal. You can have the Curb Event Center packed and go after it again. But how are you feeling about things moving forward?
Yeah, I love the group that we have returning. Again, we return our top 6 scorers and maybe about our top 9 or 10 scorers with no seniors, and everybody on the roster just about coming back. And so there's every reason for optimism, and we should set the bar high for what we want to accomplish. But I think the longer you coach, the less you worry about those kinds of things, and the more you just worry about your team and the players and the bodies in the locker room, that you care about them and that you try to just maximize day to day and kind of see where that turns out.
Who do you think wins tonight?
I'd put my money on Gonzaga, but I wouldn't put a lot.
Oh, okay. So you think, but you're not positive.
Absolutely not positive. I mean, these two teams are great, and you know, either team can win. I think we'll have a great game. I'll be shocked if it's not a great game. Again, I think everything's going to be pale in comparison to what we saw with UCLA. 93-90, where both teams are shooting over 50% and playing the way they did on Saturday is one thing. I don't know if we can get that again, but yeah, these two teams are pretty good.
Pretty crazy. Hey, good stuff. Really appreciate the visit as always. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll chat soon.
I appreciate you guys.
That is Casey Alexander, Belmont basketball coach. Always good to talk hoops with him. We'll come back and talk more on the other side of the DDC, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
But
the NHL trade deadline is coming up April 12th. Whatever your plan was, as we get closer to April 12th, I just think you stay the course. What will the Predators do before that date?
Paula, fine, let him go. Cousins, fine, let him go. Granlund, definitely let him go if they're going to give you something good.
The only place to get coverage of your Predators at the trade deadline is Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
But first, Chase has got words about bets.
Yes, I do have words about bets. Hey, it happens. We're here. I'm here to tell you about BetMGM. They make the conclusion of March matchups even more exciting with a special offer for new customers. Sign up today and receive $100 in free bets when you put a $1 futures wager on any team to win the national championship. It turns out to be a winner. Just be sure to use the bonus code 1025game100 when you make your first bet to take advantage of this offer. Experience the college hoopla with the king of sportsbooks, innovative parlay selection features, boosted odds specials, and much more. Download the app or go to betmgm.com. Use that bonus code 1025game100 to win $100 if your team wins the national championship. It's that simple. Pick your team, place your bet, boom, there you go. Bet with confidence on all your favorite sports all year long at BetMGM. New customer offer, paid in free bets. You must be 21 years or older, must be in Tennessee. Visit BetMGM.com for a full list of terms and conditions. For problem gambling support, call the Tennessee Red Line at 800-889-9789.
If you value tough, reliable equipment, you'll love Kubota. Kubota makes some of the toughest, hardworking, and dependable machines on the planet. And here at Coleman Tractor, we sell those machines, including construction equipment, tractors, mowers, utility vehicles, and hay tools. Kubota, everything you value. Come see why Coleman Tractor Company is one of the largest Kubota dealers in Middle Tennessee, with 4 locations to serve you in Paris, Clarksville, Nashville, and their new location in White House. Coleman Tractor, working hard to keep you working.
At the Gary Ashton team, we say don't sell without the intel. That's because we have the best database of properties in Nashville And because nobody knows this community better. We know the people, the neighborhoods, and the value of connection and teamwork. With us, you get a guaranteed offer your home that's also guaranteed Nashville. Guaranteed Nashville means you can sell your house for top dollar with no cleaning, staging, showings, or open houses, and give yourself up to 90 days to close. So there's plenty of time to find your next home. Guaranteed Nashville means my team lives here and loves it here. We've served Nashville for over 20 years, and we're passionate about helping our neighbors and friends. That's why we have a long-standing tradition of donating to the Vanderbilt Children's Hospital. If you're thinking about a guaranteed offer, get the only one that's guaranteed Nashville. Request a no-obligation offer by calling 615-301-1650 or go to GaryAshton.com today. The Gary Ashton team with RE/MAX Advantage. Don't sell without the intel.
So many times guests come in with pictures from Instagram, Pinterest, and Facebook and are amazed that we have those rings in stock.
David Cooper, Vice President at Genesis Diamonds, talking about how Genesis stays on the cutting edge.
We pride ourselves of staying ahead of the curve of fashion and seeking what's new, what's hot all over the world, what's hot all over the internet, and having that in stock for you, where other stores are still chasing styles that were cool maybe 5 or 10 years ago.
Why settle for an outdated style or a stale design? Make the switch to Genesis and get the ring of her dreams with over 4,000 cutting-edge choices from the top bridal designers in the world.
We have the designer looks that you see everywhere in stock in a variety of metals, a variety of sizes and shapes, and a variety of budgets, so every customer can have exactly what they want.
Genesis Diamonds, where no compromise is ever necessary.
We are so honored and proud that so many people have made the switch to Genesis Diamonds and not only told their friends about Genesis, but have brought their friends to Genesis.
Green Hills and Cool Springs.
The Wednesday Night Hockey Block.
That'll get you jacked up.
Smashville Live at 6.
I tried a mustache and then scored right away.
Slapshot Radio at 7.
The runway is so incredibly short right now.
Penalty Box Radio at 8.
That's impressive. It's not like it was a weird bounce or a deflection.
The Wednesday Night Hockey Block. Only on Smashville's Best Sports Talk.
ESPN.
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, it's ESPN NFL analyst Tim Hasselbeck on Nashville's Best Sports Talk. ESPN 1025 The Game.
All right, that music has inspired us to give you a keyword. It's time to get those fingers ready to text. Do those exercises while I read. Up, down, up, down, up, down, down. Because we've got a hockey home gating party to hook you up with. You know what that is. Chance to watch a Predators game on the weekend with a Dos Equis prize pack, which includes a case of beer, dessert from Nothing Bundt Cakes, a T-Mobile prize pack, and food provided by 312 Pizza Company in Germantown. Remember, you must be 21 years of age or older to enter. And right now, you're going to text in on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025, 737-1025, the word Smashville. Smashville. Good luck. Keep doing what you've been doing the last 3 weeks. Speaking of music, guys, you know, the guy, John Adams, not the president, the drummer at the Indians games, has been doing it forever. He's going to miss the home opener.
What?
The drummer for the
How
Black
could that be?
Keys is going to fill in for him.
Oh, I saw that.
Patrick Carney. How about that? He is going to fill in for John Adams in the bleachers for the Indians home opener to beat the drum. Like, how cool is that?
That's very cool.
I think Adams has been doing it since the early 70s.
That's a cool story. I like that. I think he'll be very qualified for that.
I think so. He had Adams is 69 years old. He's recovering from off-season heart surgery. So Patrick Carney for the Black Keys, I believe he's from that area.
Yes, I think that's
he's from
right.
Akron, right?
I don't know what town. I know they're from Ohio.
I think he's from Akron. And he has said, "Hey,
The other guy I think lives here. I don't know if he still lives here, but he's been here a lot.
Yeah, he does.
What's the other guy's name from Black Keys? There's two guys. The drummer's the guy with the hard, the dark rim glasses.
Yeah.
What's the other guy's name? I'm blanking. I love the
Dan
Black
Auerbach.
Keys. Dan Auerbach. He I think he's lived in that. I don't know if he still does, but he lived here for a long time.
He still lives here.
Still lives here?
Yeah. I think they both live here now. I mean, I think that the band is based out of Nashville.
Okay. But they're from Ohio.
He's from Akron. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Dan Auerbach does so many different things.
A lot of different things. He's a gifted
in
guy.
fact, they are both from Akron.
Okay.
Originally.
Okay.
You learn something every day on the show. Is this going down a George Michael Wham rabbit hole?
I don't think so.
Probably not.
No.
I got a lot of people who were so amused by that. I couldn't believe that. I thought we were like switching radios off across the country, but apparently some people were very intrigued.
Oh, people love that stuff.
The George Michael versus Wham. When did it split? Why is Careless Whisper listed as a George Michael song when we know it was a Wham song?
It's because
now we're trying to uncover things we didn't know about the Black Keys.
Chase will learn.
And where is the drummer ticked off? You know, the guy from Cleveland who's done all these games, couldn't you have two drummers? Or is he gladly stepping aside for one day because he loves the Black Keys?
Is this mic on?
He's having heart surgery.
I said he has said he had off-season heart surgery.
Well, you said off-season, but
he's recovering from that.
Okay, so he still has not recovered.
Clearly.
Gee.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. Well, we know sometimes that when a person steps aside for a celebrity, it doesn't always sit well.
That Patrick Carney just jumped in there because they knew that they didn't want to go. I mean, they've gone 50 years or whatever it is, right? With a drummer, they didn't want to. I
didn't know when the guy was ready for the comeback here. I mean, the off season we've had a long time. The off season could be. I mean, the offseason was from what? When did we get done? Late October, early November.
You got to pay attention.
Well, for the Indians,
I was so concerned about whether Dan Auerbach lived in Nashville.
You've been doing that. You've brought a lot to the show today. You've done that. You've done a lot of ball research, and
a lot of ball research on Herman ball.
Yep. So,
but that was a step back. That was a penalty on me.
It's okay.
Hell no.
Do we have a projected date of the drummer coming back?
Hell no.
I think it's best that we just move on.
Okay, let's
just leave it at Patrick Carney's going to fill in for the home opener.
All right.
Okay.
I should have never gotten involved.
Can we go back to Wham and George Michael?
How about bridges? How about tunnels?
Thank you. Here is Wham.
What else would you like to know?
There's another one. Chase missed that day, the tunnels. That just turned into Gremlins at midnight. That went crazy.
And see, now we're getting a text from Keith saying, "For the love of God, move on."
Okay,
why?
I get it. I get it. It's my bad. My bad. The Mets play tonight. Finally.
I thought we were moving on.
That was my moving on.
Yeah, he's moving on to the Mets.
No, I know that was a joke. Let's move on past the Mets. You already had your Mets segment with
I know.
TD.
I had my Mets moment.
Like, that's the one thing we've figured out, Chase. We cannot let Willie end the TD segment because it is going to turn into a 5-minute infomercial before we get out.
Yes, I know.
It was not 5 minutes. It was more like a 15-30 second.
Oh, 15,
maybe 45 to 55 seconds.
Your clock.
And see, I can't really say anything because my team went 0-3 in their first series, so I can't jump in and, do the chop. Or it was rough outing in Philly.
I watched a couple of their games. I thought it was interesting. Chip Carey, he was pointing out a lot, and I agree with him. There was the Braves just didn't get a break, right? I don't think you should panic. Like, who was it? Like the Red Sox. The Red Sox got swept at Fenway and got destroyed by the Orioles. That's a little cause for concern.
Sure.
Right? There's overreacting, and there's like, I don't know. I don't think the Braves should worry that much. Like, they hit Ronald Acuna, I saw hit a couple of balls about as hard as you can hit a ball, but it was right at the guy. Like Dansby Swanson hit a ball that on most days at most parks is way out of there, but it just blew back because the wind was just gusting in. Like it wasn't meant to be. for the Braves this past weekend. I think they're going to be fine. There was a
I'm
lot
not
to
worried.
like. Their starting pitching was excellent. I think that they're going to hit. They're going to be in this mix for sure. The question is are the Phillies way better? Because the biggest problem they had was the bullpen. We were talking to Chris about this on Friday. They completely overhauled their bullpen and they were lights out over the weekend. Is that just a 3-game thing, or have they fixed their biggest weakness?
We'll find out. I mean, that they certainly had to address it. So, but I'm not concerned. The bats will get going. It's April, and you have to consider too. They and I know every team has to face this, but last year was different. Go through the spring. Now you got to get back into the swing of, no pun intended, of 162. So they're doing that. The Braves have some new arms in the rotation. Drew Smiley going to pitch tomorrow. Charlie Morton, of course, has joined. But I'm not worried about it. They'll be fine. They'll get it going. It's going to be a tough division. We all knew that going into it. So it'll be good.
I was looking at our brackets. Christy Wilson atop the leaderboard right now.
Yeah, she's
who's in our building.
Feeling good.
Sales
I actually
in our building.
saw Christy Saturday night and a little trash talk.
She was talking, wasn't she?
Little talking, but that's okay.
Feeling frisky?
Feeling good. Feeling good. Had every right to do that. But she also at the time, then UCLA, then she was sweating a little bit because I believe she did pick Gonzaga to win it all.
She did.
But I think she has Baylor in the final as well. So.
Oh, really?
I believe I'm pulling it up. I think that's right. So I would say that.
By the way, the person in third has Baylor. So something, the national championship game definitely has some meaning. And by the way.
Yeah, she has Baylor Gonzaga.
Wow. Well done, Christy. Well done. Just so you know, Willie, because the two of us at Illinois and Chris Childers is right below us with Illinois. If Gonzaga wins it all, we get passed higher in the standings by a 9-year-old. Just FYI.
Yeah, so third place.
My son, who filled out one for the first time in his life, he's 9. He's going to pass us if Gonzaga wins it.
Okay. All right. I can live with that.
Can you? I'm like,
I've moved on.
Have you?
Stay strong.
Yeah, we cannot finish in. We cannot finish in the top 4.
Well,
there's nothing more we can do.
The first 4 in our bracket have the championship game correct.
That's not true. They have the championship game.
Yeah,
correct.
they have the championship game correct.
Wow, that's. I mean, it's not really a stretch. I wanted to go different, and that's what I get.
Actually, the top different. 5, the first 5 have the championship game correct, but only one picked Baylor.
Okay.
So, we're out of it. The 3 of us.
Hey, by the way, somebody.
Point
spread? 4.5, I think.
Okay.
That sounds right.
Somebody we know with the Preds who cannot finish up top, but they also had Baylor.
Yeah, 4.5 is what I got according to BetMGM. Baylor is plus 165 on the money line. The over/under at 159.5.
And if you played Pick 6 with us, question number 5 is who scores the most points for Gonzaga in the Final Four over the 2 games? It would have been just 1 had they lost to UCLA. Drew Timme had 25, Kispert 15, Suggs 16. So that's where it stands going into tonight. So just in case you're,
and we feel pretty good that I'll be the champion.
Oh, I think win or lose, you're the champion, no matter how that one comes out. I have
Let me
Timme.
grab something.
What's that?
Nobody's watching, Jace.
Okay, yeah,
nobody's watching.
They're watching. There we go. There we go. Champ is here.
Is that the official Pick 6 belt?
Yeah, it's the Pick Six belt right there. Big gold
I didn't
belt.
know we had one. Where was I do have a couple of banners in the rafters at our studio, but for my back-to-back titles, but I never got a belt.
Yeah, well, you know, the WWE knew I was going to win. They sent this to me, so they send that to all the champions. I don't know why you didn't get yours. So,
wow,
just you know,
I'm a paper
something to
champion.
do. Yeah, you are. You got the banners though.
I got the banners. They're in the rafters, right near the bobbleheads.
Don't
one
knock
of which I
those
knocked
off.
over. Murdered the Scott Hartnell bobblehead.
All right, we'll come back and put a bow on Monday's edition of Darren, Daunic, and Chase. We'll do that next on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Listen to us talk sports out of our app.
That's a heck of an investment. How cool was that story?
Single.
They're out shooting teams.
I think he's a good player.
Day.
Okay, good talk.
Just search The Game Nashville in your app store and download today. And keep it locked on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game.
I'll talk to you about my friends over at Cool Springs MD. They're my friends because they've been helping me improve my quality of life for many, many years. They've been helping a lot of you in this market for many years. They've been around in Middle Tennessee since 2007. Dr. Jeffrey Lodge, who's the board-certified physician over there, his wife Daphne is the registered nurse, and their experienced staff have helped a lot of you become healthier and happier. And if you would like to improve your immune systems or your energy levels, your cognitive function, or so much more, they house so many things under one roof at that beautiful facility there in Cool Springs at 1642 Westgate Circle. And maybe you've tacked on some unwanted pounds that you would like to get rid of. I think we've all done that in our adult life at some point, right? Maybe that some point is right now. They've got programs and products and people that can get you headed in the right direction right now to get that weight management under control. Rejuvenation, as we all get older, appearance should still be important. You can talk to them about PRP, hair removal, Botox. They do a lot of things in that category, and hormone therapy. Maybe you've been peeling off lately. You just haven't felt yourself. Like, what's going on? Well, get your levels checked. Maybe they've dipped to an all-time low. It can affect your mood, just your energy, your drive. You talk to them about testosterone, estrogen, BHRT. They do a lot of things there at Cool Springs MD. If you need to schedule an appointment or a consultation, dial this number, 615-283-7291. That's 283-7291. Or you can also learn anything about them by going to their website, coolspringsmd.com.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
I'm Fox 17 News Code Red meteorologist Dan Guthrie. 70s back in the forecast for us. Afternoon high, 78 degrees. Under mostly sunny skies. 80s potentially for Tuesday. Storms return midweek.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
It's title time, everybody. Joe Rexrode here to let you know that FanDuel Sportsbook is going to hook you up like a champion. They are celebrating the big game with 40-1 odds on either Gonzaga or Baylor. That's right. New users get 40-1 odds on either team to win the championship game. This means you can win $200 on a $5 bet. It's a tough call. Gonzaga, maybe one of the best teams ever, maybe the first undefeated team since Indiana in '76. But if you watch Baylor against Houston on Saturday, what a special team and a backcourt that could really make this interesting. If you've been watching the tournament from the sidelines, now's the perfect time to get in on the action. All you got to do is download the FanDuel Sportsbook app, make your first deposit, and you will unlock the exclusive 40-1 odds. The app is so easy to use, and when you win, you get paid in as little as 24 hours. So sign up with promo code Joe102 so they know I sent you. That's FanDuel Sportsbook, promo code Joe102. You must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. New users only. Must wager in designated offer market. $10 first deposit required. See full terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. For problem gambling support, call 800-889-9789.
One day a duck went into a pharmacy and asked for a tube of chapstick. The pharmacist said, "That's $1.25, to which the duck replied, "Why don't you just put it on my bill?" The duck then waddled across the street to Bread Spirits and Wine, where he discovered a dazzling array of distilled spirits and liqueurs, with a special collection of allocated spirits and red selected single barrel whiskeys. He was bowled over by Red's state-of-the-art growler station, featuring 16 taps of local and craft beer favorites and 4 taps devoted to wine. Speaking of which, the wine selected from around the world was simply stunning. And all of this at a price that tickled his feathers. That evening, the Duck enjoyed a delicious glass of Burgundy and single malt scotch before retiring with an all-encompassing sense of well-being. Red Spirits is located at the corner of Highway 70 South and Old Hickory Boulevard.
Hal Gill runs On Dunkin', America's favorite coffee. I grew up in Boston on Dunkin' and so happy that Nashville has my favorite Dunkin' locations all over town. Energize your day with Dunkin's extensive line of specialty coffees and espresso-based beverages. Enjoy Dunkin's iced flavor blasted coffee, lattes, cappuccinos, Americanos, and more. Dunkin' has the most delicious donuts, muffins, bagels, and all-day breakfast sandwiches in the business. Hope to see you at the new Next Gen Dunkin' in my neck of the woods on Harding Pike in Belmead.
When was the last time you got underneath your home to inspect your crawl space? It's a nasty chore, but someone's got to do it. And Frontier, the all things basementy company, is the place to call. If your crawl space begins to smell, grow mold, or has structural problems, it will extend to every part of your home. Frontier will ensure the best solution for your crawl space to protect your entire home. For a free estimate, call the Frontier All Things Basementy Company for a free inspection at 615-285-5799 or online at thebuzzfrontier.com.
Jared Stillman.
They fight hard for the puck. The star players are playing hard.
And company.
Maybe the way that they're playing doesn't rely on high-octane offense to win.
Tune in Stillman and Company for your drive home. Weekday afternoons from 2 to 6 on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN.
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Interact with Darren, Daunic, and Chase. Call or text the show at 615-737-1025. Driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com.
There was some pretty huge news that broke basically on the way out the door on Friday. And it involved your Bravos, Chase, where Major League Baseball stripped them of their All-Star weekend. I don't know if you guys have seen. The fallout today is the Rangers are set to, by the way, they're the only team in the league I think has said they're going to operate at full capacity. And I don't know what they're going to get. But the governor was supposed to throw out the first pitch and has decided not to because of the decision that was made to strip Georgia of their All-Star weekend. Here's the thing. As we've learned, whether you've been doing this business for a long time or not a long time, what you'll learn quickly, and really anything, especially in the climate we're in today, like Major League Baseball, that's fine with your decision. But I'll tell you what, when you go down that road, just like whether you firmly believe in what you're doing, and that's right, but you understand that you will get opposition, and now you will affect fan bases because people, it's a divide, right? It's like half the people, it's never, I guess, 50-50, but half the people, just for the sake of this conversation, are going to agree with what you do, and they're going to applaud, and they're going to say, yeah, good job. And then the other half, no matter what you're talking about, is going to be like, yeah, I'm never watching your product again, right? Or I'm never going to your game again, or I'm never listening to your radio show again, or what have you. It's just a really, really dangerous, because you can't win. You absolutely
You're not going to make
win.
everybody happy.
No. And now
I think they knew that when they decided to do what they did. I think they knew there would be a backlash, and I think they felt strongly enough about it. They felt like the cause was worthy, and I understand what you're saying 100%. There is a backlash. I think the toughest part is the people in the area affected, right? Because you even have people who are for that same cause strongly
that
who are very concerned.
Yeah.
Well, they're concerned that, hey, okay, I admire that you believe in what we believe in, the people that are fighting for, voter rights and things like that. But it's affecting the people in that community. They lose out on the economic impact of that's the tough part.
No doubt
about it. For everybody else, I think you just have to deal with that if you believe that the cause is worthy. And so I think it's a tough decision, but they decided to go forward with it.
You're right. That is a massive. It's not just a weekend. That's it's just like that's a good 4-day window at least, and the economic impact is huge. And there's a lot of people that have jobs specifically because of what was going to take place this year in Atlanta that now won't have those jobs, and that's well said. I mean, it's unfortunate because there's a lot of people now that it just affected their livelihood.
Well, and think about where the ballpark is. I believe all three of us have been there.
Oh, yeah.
Truist Park, the Battery, the area around the ballpark, all the restaurants and bars and hotels and stuff that's there in the Marietta area in Cobb County, just outside of Atlanta. I mean, they like everybody else have had a rough year because of COVID and not being able to operate at full capacity. And the Braves had announced that after the first homestand, they're going to be at 33% for the first homestand, but starting with the second homestand, they'll move to 50%. So they were upping the capacity already. So think about those businesses that are going to miss out on what All-Star Weekend brings. I mean, the Omni Hotel right there. There's other hotels that are right there next to the ballpark. So it definitely hurts from that standpoint. And then the rest of Atlanta, because, so many times I know when I go to a game, I typically stay in downtown Atlanta and then, go back to where the ballpark is. But it hurts. It hurts for sure. So we'll see what the fallout is. And it was weird watching the games on Saturday and Sunday and seeing where the patch used to be for the All-Star game. They had taken the patch off the jersey, but you could clearly tell that it had been removed. So it's going to be one of those things that you don't just make the decision and then, okay, it goes away and nobody's talking about it.
No,
it's going to continue. And that's why,
that's why they did it. The whole purpose of doing that is to inflict some economic impact on and hope to sway people for the cause that's at the center of this. That's the idea for Major League Baseball. The dilemma is for the local people who are for that cause and are appreciative that baseball cares about that. But there is an impact to a lot of the people that believe in the same cause because they're the ones that are impacted economically.
Well, you realize that they are going to alienate fans.
Well, yeah,
alienate.
just
they
like
are. People are going to walk away from their game because of that.
Yeah,
and they're going to feel the impact, of course.
Right. They knew that when they made that decision.
Well, I think the NFL knew it too, and they went through it, and then they completely changed course, right? And once it starts affecting your business model and pocketbooks and sponsors pull out, and then you immediately change your tune because the NFL was fine with it too, and then they changed their tune.
I don't know. To me, to say that, I mean, this is just me, but the right to vote, if that's that's the platform, I think that in and of itself is not that controversial, honestly.
Yeah.
Oh, I think it's definitely, there's people that feel it's absolutely controversial. What do you mean controversial? You don't think
the right to vote is an essential right?
It's not about the right to vote. We're not going to go in there.
I know
it's not about the right to vote because we're not going down a political rabbit hole. It's about ID and this and that. It's not about the right to vote. Everybody's on the same page on the right to vote. It's not about that. It's about the process on the right to vote. That's what it's about.
Yes,
it's not about the right to vote.
Obviously, yes.
If somebody says they don't believe in that, then we don't even need to discuss that, right? I mean, we all should be on the same page that everybody should have the right to vote. It's about the process. And
yes, it's about the process, but then we're getting into the debate.
Yeah, right. But I'm just saying that.
But
the Rangers owner is not going to be the only one. I'm saying it is going to affect their product, and and you're right. Well, it may be Major League Baseball. I mean, of course they knew that it would, but I mean, I guess everybody knows. But everybody, what's your threshold? What's your threshold, right? Like, how much will they endure before they start
to stand up for what you believe in? If you believe in it strongly, you got to make tough decisions. Just like it was tough for anybody to do anything controversial, but you stand up for what you think is right.
Yeah, until it starts affecting all of your owners' pocketbooks and your sport.
Well, we'll see if it does.
Yeah, you're right. Maybe it will not have the impact. But usually when you go down these
somebody's
roads,
going to want the
does.
All-Star game.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think
They're already lining up to do it.
I don't think it's going to Dallas now.
And I don't think people are not going to go to the All-Star game.
Yeah, have they said where it's going?
No.
Buster Olney last night was saying that Wrigley Field is heavy into it.
That makes sense. Go to a historic place.
No, I think I heard Cleveland was in there.
Really?
I'm trying to think of who else he said. He said 2 or 3 parks that are making a play to get it. And
Would
then that will
John
come up
Adams
pretty
be
soon.
back for the All-Star weekend?
What's that?
Would John Adams be back for the All-Star weekend?
President John Adams, the second president of the
drummer John Adams.
Oh, I thought you were talking about our second president, John Adams. It was Washington, Adams, Jefferson.
Look at you.
Madison, Monroe, Adams, Jackson. We used to have to memorize that in the 6th grade. Memorize all the presidents in order.
And you try to turn it into like a theme where you can help remember, right?
Yeah, but I came in midstream, so I didn't know. Like I just started filling them in, the ones I knew, but the rest of my classmates, they could just rip it off. They just go, say it really fast. They could say it in 30 seconds, just whip them all down. They knew them.
Yeah.
They could probably still do it today. I can't. Even though I was a history major.
Were you a history major?
I was.
Really?
Yes.
What did you think you were going to do with that?
Oh, who knows? Well, I'm a sports historian now.
Yeah.
I guess you think that way.
Boy, can you imagine if they had sports history as a major?
Oh, you'd
have loved that.
Be an honor student.
Maybe I would have been better in school if there was a sports history major.
I wish that. I can tell you I had 0 sports history classes at Vanderbilt. If they had one, I would have signed up. I would have taken it as many times as I was allowed to.
No doubt. All right, that will do it for our show today. Hey, enjoy this weather out there.
Hey, there's the song, Darren.
I know.
Can you hear it?
I was wondering if we were going to hear it. I can hear it. And I do love that song, the way we end our show every day. Closing time. All right. Be safe. We want you back with us tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Stay tuned. The debut of Caroline on Stillman & Company. That's next.